Happy New Year, everyone! Welcome to the first Rant on Reels of 2019. This is Xavier. I'm Fooch. How you doing, Xavier?
I'm doing great. It's 2019.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
What'd you get up to this New Year?
This New Year, I beat you twice in Catan.
That was
and
today.
that's
I
always...
meant for New Year's, like for January, December 31st, January 1st.
Oh, I just spent it with my close roommates, and we partied till the sun came up.
Sounds fun.
It was very fun.
I went to our producers to Dave's house to watch we watched the ball drop. We played some games. It was a lot of fun.
Ooh, that sounded way more interesting than what I did. So I don't know why you didn't invite me, but thank you.
I thought you were in Niagara Falls. I remember asking you a while back, and I thought you were going to Dragonfly.
I was supposed to go to Rebel, but
Rebel, that's
fell
right.
apart.
Why?
Because nobody wants to go to the nightclub.
Yeah, nobody likes you anymore, Xavier.
Okay, you know what? Why don't I just pack up my things and leave? Okay, Rant on Wheels is over, guys. Got to get a new host. Co-host.
Let's started talking about movies. I don't think anyone wants to know about our New Year's plans. I got an interesting. I have a question for you. Let's just start with this.
I have an answer.
So, in some of my movie news outlets, there is an article about Netflix, and they're issuing a warning that people should stop doing the Bird Box challenge. I have yet to see this movie, Bird Box. What is the Bird Box challenge?
So, spoilers for the Bird Box, but apparently the way the concept of the movie works is you're supposed to be blindfolded because you can't see these demon things, okay? So people are trying to go out through the whole day with blindfolds and see how they would survive using the Bird Box.
Like in real life?
In real life,
Why?
Because people aren't very bright. And
I don't even
down
know
the evolutionary trail, this is how we find out who survives in evolution and who doesn't.
So it's not like taking this challenge in your house for a day. Like they actually go out.
Yeah, they go out.
Tell me they don't actually get into a car and drive with it. Like
I haven't seen that. I hope not. But we never know with people.
Have you seen Bird Box yet?
No, I haven't seen the movie yet. I've been meaning to watch it.
A couple of people have been asking me about it. Maybe we should watch it and maybe podcast it next week.
All right, let's do it up. I think that's a good idea.
Because it's a pretty big movie. It's all in. Sandra Bullock's
there's
in
lots of memes about it.
Apparently, people are blindfolding themselves and driving in public. So
yeah, that's cool. And the Bears kicker was doing the Bird Box challenge today too.
Yeah, no pressure for him, right? 11 kicks on the season. The sad part for him is, like, my uncle's a big Bears fan. The sad part for him, he just lost his job. Let's be honest. Parky's not kicking for the Bears next year.
But yeah, it's over.
You miss one kick all year, you can come back. You miss 11, tied with the most, no.
Yeah, it's over.
You hear the big news about Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, Johnny Depp's out. He's got shipped out. They're moving on without him. No more Jack Sparrow. It's over.
Is it about time? Is that the question?
Yeah, they should have did this probably like 3 movies ago.
I think I said this last week when we were talking about our worst 10 movies of the year and how, like, Han Solo, he's an outcast character, right? He's a pirate in a lot of ways.
Pirates are bad people.
They're shady people. Like, I mean, yeah, he does the good thing at the end of the day, but he's always, even in the original trilogy with Bloom and Knightley, he's always the character that's in it for himself.
Yeah.
How does, in the first movie when they're in the final sequence and Keira Knightley's asking Orlando Bloom whose side's Jack on, and Orlando Bloom's now, like, question mark, because that's his character, right? Mm-hmm. He's in it for himself. If working with Orlando Bloom is going to help him, he's going to be on the good side. If working with Barbossa is going to help him, he's going to be on the bad side.
Yeah.
But you can't make especially a children's movie with a shady character like that. So that's why I thought the movies got worse and worse, because they tried to make this character who's supposed to be shady into a hero, and it doesn't work. Kids might like it, but adults and teenagers, they see right through it.
Yeah, most people do.
So hopefully they'll get back on what made the first one good. You can have a shady pirate, but have some good solid characters. that you can buy into, like Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann, who were great characters in the original trilogy, even though they do some stupid things in 2 and 3. But
No, that's the problem with Pirates of the Caribbean. Maybe they should just try a different series altogether.
maybe as we talked about in our first in our inaugural episode, when we did our top 10 movies of all time. Pirates is my 5th favorite movie, so I am invested in it, but I don't like seeing good movies be ruined by poor sequels or ruining characters by changing them in the middle of the films.
Yeah, kind of. What's the word I want to say? Kind of devalues the universe. You know, a lot of movies with their sequels and everything kind of just makes the universe worse and worse.
All they see is cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah.
But instead of taking their time, developing it,
these movies are good. They make money.
Yeah, but
which is the worst measurement to judge a movie, in my opinion.
It of course it is, because name alone can get it money. But if you make a good movie, not only will it make money, it will give you sustainability.
100%.
And then you can create a whole universe and release 4 movies a year.
Yeah.
I.e. Marvel.
Yeah, we get paid by Marvel to say how great they are.
Yeah, all the time. Well, Disney in general.
DC, Marvel.
Yeah. Today's a big day for movie watchers and TV watchers. You know why?
Yeah, it's the Golden Globes, baby. Woo!
Are you a fan of the Golden Globes?
I don't like award shows. I could care less.
Oh, me too. I feel like I got to rant a little bit about it, because the concept of these award shows today upset me.
Why is that?
Well, so...
Why would you want to rant on Wheels?
Right? Now, here's my thing. I ask you guys, and feel free to leave a comment, because maybe I'm on my own. My brother vehemently disagrees with me on this point. I personally believe that movies are designed for enjoyment. What do you think?
I think, do you want my honest answer?
Yes, I want your honest answer.
Okay, well, I feel like they're good for enjoyment, but sometimes I feel like some of them, they should be made for enjoyment, but a lot of the times they're made for money.
But they're made to entertain people. Like, you make a movie to make money, right? To entertain people. They make it to make money, whatever, but in order to make money, they need to entertain people. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that made sense, but the idea of a movie to me is that it entertains people. And in the history of the Academy Awards or the Golden Globes, sometimes they get it right. You know, Gone with the Wind, Titanic, making money. I'm not saying it's the be-all that ends all. Like, just because a movie makes money doesn't mean it's good. We've talked about the Transformers movies many times. They made money. They're not good movies. But making money needs to be in the conversation. Mm-hmm. Because when movies that win the Best Picture make no money, i.e. The Hurt Locker or Moonlight, like, they didn't get to people. People didn't watch them. It upsets me.
Okay, fair enough.
When I look at, a couple of the movies that are nominated this year for Best Actress, Glenn Close is nominated for a movie called The Wife. Have you seen it?
No.
Have you heard of it?
Heard of that,
Me
no.
either. Rosamund Pike was nominated for A Private War. Have you heard of it?
No.
Seen it? No, obviously you haven't heard of it. For actress in a musical or comedy, Ilsa Fisher was nominated for 8th Grade. Heard of it?
No, I have not.
So this is my issue. I'm not saying their roles weren't good, but shouldn't a movie be nominated for something you've seen, something you've heard of?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally see where you're coming from. My thing is, sometimes it's the movies are.
Sorry, someone tried to spoil me on the Golden Globes behind it, and I'm not really happy because it's being DVR'd right now, and I'm getting spoiled, and I don't like spoilers.
Alert. We all know how much Fooch loves spoilers. He runs out of the theater and attacks children when you spoiler for trailers. So
yeah, all I'm seeing right now is like, I guess I could say it's not a spoiler anymore. It's live, but at the Into the Spider-Universe won Best Animated Movie. And I'm just thinking, I know you're happy about that, but it's not my favorite animated movie.
Spider-Man, baby.
But to kind of go back to it, I also want to talk about these Golden Globes. So the Golden Globes do something that the Oscars don't do. And they break Best Picture into two: the Best Drama and the Best Musical and Comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this year for Best Drama, we have Black Klansman, which was enjoyable. If Beale Street Could Talk, which I don't know, it's the only movie of the 9 that I haven't seen because it hasn't been to theaters yet. Black Panther, which I'll talk about in a moment. Bohemian Rhapsody and A Star Is Born. Now, I don't know about you guys. I've seen Bohemian Rhapsody and A Star Is Born. They're musicals. Why are they nominated for Best Drama?
Just because there's music doesn't mean there's a music.
It's a musical. It's not one song. They're musicals. You know they're musicals.
Bohemian Rhapsody is actually a biopic
On?
about the life of a legendary singer from Queen.
And, did it have all the songs in the movie?
Yes, but those songs were
hence-
already made. It cannot be a musical because those songs are on the radio.
So what happens like a movie like Chicago where like the songs were already in a Broadway show, and should that not be a musical?
Well, that's different. That was
Oh, that's
Broadway.
different.
These have an album. It was said that's like making so. If
There's
you
a
have
soundtrack for all of the Broadway shows. Hamilton's not a movie, but I can go buy the soundtrack for it.
Yeah, but it's different.
It's
It's a movie. Okay, fine.
how many
I would
many
say-
songs Queen made music for movies?
Fair enough.
We Are the Champions was played in the end of the Mighty Ducks movie, or D2, sorry.
Yeah, but We Are the Champions was made before.
I'm just saying that movies use music. I'm just saying. I personally, I know you're trying to be devil's advocate here, but
Okay.
like I'm trying to rant on these movies.
For Star Is Born, I'd say that's more a musical, but
You really don't think Bohemian Rhapsody is a musical?
I would say it could be a musical. I would think.
I don't know. I just think that if you're splitting the categories, it needs to go in Best Musical.
Okay.
Also, Black Panther. I'm a big Black Panther fan. I love it. But how could that movie be nominated over Infinity War? Infinity War is the creme de la creme of Marvel. It's the perfect movie.
That's your opinion.
You agree with my opinion?
Yeah, I think Infinity War is better.
So
than
why
Black
do you think
Panther.
Black Panther is nominated over Infinity War?
Well, there's a certain reason. Don't want to say why, because we don't want to make people upset. But I think it's because it's because we got it's an multicultural show. But that being strange, Crazy Rich Asians was also very popular, and that was not nominated.
It was for musical and comedy.
Musical? Oh, okay, fair enough.
It was rom-com, right? So
Yeah.
musical comedy.
Mhm.
Yeah, the musical and comedy nominations were Crazy Rich Asians, The Favorite, Green Book, Mary Poppins,
But
and
is Black
Vice.
Panther even a drama? That's my question. I fear more of like an action.
No, it's definitely not. Infinity War is much more of a drama than Black Panther.
And I wouldn't even consider Infinity War a drama either. So,
I wouldn't either, but if we're gonna,
so I wouldn't even nominate that. Maybe best superhero movie. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So anyway, that's my little rant on it. I just think movies are meant to entertain people, and too many times the winners are based on one of three things in Hollywood today. Firstly, based on what's in. So like we talked about with Black Panther, what they're trying to kind of go through. They're very political. These small market movies are designed, or they pay money to kind of influence things. And lastly, the movies that you would expect to win, the good dramas, the Avatars, the Inceptions, they don't get their say.
I hate the movie Avatar. Just saying. But that's...
Yeah, but do you hate Inception?
No.
Would you have had Inception win? Or any Christopher Nolan movie, The Prestige,
Christopher Nolan should win every Oscar and every Golden Globe whenever he releases a movie.
For the most part, I would agree with that.
For
Dunkirk, I
every
want to
part.
give him Dunkirk, so can't say that completely.
Dunkirk, okay. Everyone's allowed to have one bad movie.
So speaking of the Golden Globes, one movie that wasn't nominated for Best Drama or Musical, but was nominated for Best International Movie or Foreign Film was a movie called Roma. Have you heard of this movie?
No, I have not.
So
Is it about Rome?
It's a Netflix movie. It's not about
Okay.
Rome. It takes place in, I want to say, Mexico.
Okay, not even close to Rome.
So
Other
I
side of the
hadn't heard
world.
of this movie, but my brother said this movie's going to win the Best Picture at the Oscars. Like this is your best. It's gonna be the first foreign movie to win Best Picture. Now I hadn't heard of it.
Isn't The Artist a foreign movie that won?
No, that's a silent film,
Okay.
not foreign.
There's a French film that won,
No,
wasn't it?
he spoke. The actor was French, but it
Oh.
was an English movie, right?
Fair enough. Okay.
So because like, John Goodman was in it and like that. Anyways, so I went to go see. I believe movies should be watched in theaters. So I found a theater in Burlington that was playing Roma, and I went to go see it. What? What? It was only fine. It was only $10.
It's free on Netflix.
Yeah, but it's
You pay for Netflix. You pay $10 for Netflix.
15 now.
Well, 15 now. So.
But I don't know. Movies, I just find like when I watch a movie, I want to see it on the big screen. I feel like I get more immersed in it.
Okay, fair enough. I guess some people just really like going to the movies.
I do.
You're the sole person keeping the theaters alive. They're
I
hanging
tried.
on by a thread, and it's because of you.
But I just want to say I didn't like it. I didn't find it interesting. I found it fairly boring. I wasn't engaged in the story. And the person I went with, my girlfriend, she didn't like it either. We both thought it was pretty boring, and I was looking at my watch a couple times.
Oh.
So I wouldn't recommend it. It's just I don't really find movies like that really interesting. I didn't find a message or a theme.
You hate movies like There Will Be Blood, which I love, but you hate it.
There's no plot.
There's a plot. What do you mean there's no plot? The plot is they're fighting to see who wants to be more in charge. The church guy, Eli, or I forget the other guy's name.
Such a memorable movie.
Listen, whatever. You think you know everything, eh?
Kind of, a little bit. That's a little arrogant. I apologize for that.
Listen,
only know
why don't you go pay money to go see Bird Box on the theater?
I would totally do it. Because again, a movie like that's meant to be seen in theaters.
Okay, fair enough.
You're telling me how many movies do you go see a year in theaters?
A lot, I forget. I haven't counted.
So why don't you go download them like all the other people, all the teens these days that go see that download the movies?
I don't want to go to jail. That's illegal. Yeah. We don't advocate illegal activity here.
So you're telling me like if you had the opportunity to go see like an older movie in theaters that's on Netflix, you wouldn't go see it?
No, I'd probably just watch on Netflix.
Really?
I like laying down and watching the movie. I told you I like Netflix because I can just pause the movie and then just go to work or something and come back and finish the movie. I love watching movies that way. Because sometimes I forget certain scenes. I remember the movie better when I break it into certain sections. And I know you hate that.
All right.
But
enough of this. We've been talking too long. Let's get into the show.
okay.
So today we're going to be talking about Holmes and Watson, Welcome to Marwen, and Escape Room.
Yeah!
As well as talking about our top 10 movies from last year, so 2018.
Escape Room's a bootleg version of Saw. Spoiler alert.
Oh boy. I don't even know what to say to that. Let's start with warning all of our people that there'll be spoilers throughout this show at this point.
We're also be going our top 10 movies of 2018, so pretty much spoilers for every movie that came out in 2018 because they're potentially
good movies. Like last year, you don't have to worry about like Bumblebee or
Bumblebee's in my top 10. Spoiler alert.
So it was in your bottom 10. How can it be in your top 10?
It can go to both. Right? 5 minutes is the top 10, and the rest of the movie is bottom 10. So.
Okay, so we're gonna start with Holmes and Watson.
All right.
So
I didn't see this movie.
You didn't see it? You had one job. Well, you had 3 jobs to see 3.
Yeah, I dropped the ball. I had some personal issues that I did not want to discuss.
Okay.
But let's talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you have to make sure you ask me some questions about it as we go through this.
Okay, I'll have some questions.
So just again, remember there will be spoilers as we delve into Holmes and Watson, and I'm going to start by just giving my one-word description of this movie.
Okay, what was it?
Awful.
Oh, okay.
I would actually like to use 2 words.
Okay.
God awful.
Oh, okay. So you forgot the other part, but okay. We'll let you have it. You said one word, and now you.
No, I said like my one word is awful, but if I could use 2 words, it would be god awful.
Okay. Is it as bad as everybody's been saying? Did you want to walk out of the theater within the first 5 minutes?
No. But
Okay.
I truly believe that this movie was doomed to fail.
Why do you think it was doomed to fail?
think of it like this: Sherlock Holmes is a brilliant character. He's brilliant. His entire concept is has the ability to read people, to read situations from the smallest little details. You can't be half brilliant. Either you're brilliant or you're not brilliant. Either you know everything or you don't know everything. There's no real middle ground to Sherlock Holmes. He's brilliant.
Okay.
So I don't think Sherlock Holmes is a spoofable character. I know what Will Ferrell was trying to do. Him and the director of this movie, they were trying to make a spoof of Sherlock Holmes. But he can't do it. And Will Ferrell cannot play Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes is serious to a fault. Have you read any of the books?
I saw the 2 movies with Robert Downey Jr.
So Robert Downey Jr., did you see like the Benedict Cumberbatch version?
I watched
on Netflix?
5 minutes. And then...
Okay. Have you seen the Elementary with Johnny Lee Miller?
No.
You haven't read any books?
I haven't read any books, but I have the idea of.
So I've seen them all.
And I've seen like versions and TV shows of him as well.
I've seen him in all 4 of the things that I described: the Elementary, the modern take, in New York, Benedict Cumberbatch's version in London, modern. I've seen the movies with Robert Downey Jr. and I've read some of the books.
Okay.
He is not able to be spoofed. He can't be. He needs to be serious. You know, the movie had him not at times sharp, but at times not sharp. So there's a scene close to the beginning of the movie where he's got I want to say like some kind of bat or cricket bat.
Are they in England?
They're in London, yes.
London, it's a cricket bat.
Yes. I don't know if that's exactly what it was. It might have been something similar to that. I don't remember completely. But he's you know how like in like the Robert Downey Jr. Version, like they have him they have time stop and him kind of discussing what he's going to do.
Oh, I love that part. I love those movies.
It's great. So he does the same thing. So he's talking about how because the mosquito that he's going to hit is right on like a killer bee glass container. Mm-hmm. So if he hits it too hard, he breaks the killer bees, and they all get released.
Stung, yeah.
So he's figuring out through mathematics how he doesn't break the glass. And guess what?
He breaks the glass.
Like, what's the whole point of being Sherlock Holmes if he's not Sherlock Holmes? He's a buffoon.
I feel like this movie would have been better if they had like an actual Sherlock Holmes and then a guy trying to be like Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, or don't call him Sherlock Holmes. Have it be like you know, like when they do a spoof movie, they rename the character.
Yeah.
Rename him something, and then you have free range to do whatever you want. But the fact that they chose to use Sherlock Holmes and Watson, it just doesn't work. Now,
Murloc House, that's what they should have named the movie.
Even I found the character of Watson. I found him kind of be the brains. I thought John C. Reilly's character of Watson was the quote unquote smarter at times than Sherlock Holmes. You know, we see this. He seemed the best Sherlock Holmes. So there's a scene where they're confronted in like a boxing gym, and Sherlock Holmes doesn't do the boxing. Watson fights for him, and when Watson kind of gets thrown out of the ring, Sherlock's like, I'm going to do that mathematical thing, like figure out how I'm going to do it. I'm going to give him distraction. I'm going to give him a chop, and then I'm going to go through it and knock him out. But when he doesn't fall for the distraction, so he kind of squeals like a girl, and then goes to fight him and gets kind of hit, and then Watson comes and hits down for him.
Okay.
Even at the end of the movie, it's Watson that saves the day.
Okay.
So again, I thought the concept was doomed to fail from the start.
Yeah, I can totally see that. From what I know of Sherlock Holmes, he's one of the more serious characters, and I love Will Ferrell, but this decade hasn't been the best for him.
No,
his decade was the 2000s. I feel like comedy has evolved since the 2000s.
And I want to talk a little bit about that as well. Like, in the books, it's no secret that Sherlock Holmes dabbled in drugs, specifically opium. But this movie, they were like, oh yeah, I do heroin, there's some cocaine, let's do some cocaine. So it's a PG movie for kids. They make drugs look good. And like not like just like like Seth Rogen's movies that would make like marijuana look good. They made hardcore drugs. Look, if you do drugs, you're gonna be smart like Sherlock Holmes because that's how I get my brains. It's insulting to not only Sherlock Holmes, it's insulting to people or I don't know. And the laziness. Like when he needs help, he screams for his whatchamacallit, his lady, Miss Hudson. Miss Hudson! Ah, Hudson! Really?
That's a classic Will Ferrell thing, though.
It is a classic,
movies where they
but that's not Sherlock
Holmes.
Holmes.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Sherlock Holmes is cool under pressure. So I'll talk a little bit about the movie as well. I don't even know if you can. Well, actually, before I talk about the movie, I don't even know if you can call this movie a comedy.
Okay.
It's not funny. Yeah, sure. There's moments that have some humor to it, but I don't find the jokes funny. And you talked a little bit about it. Comedies evolved, and this movie didn't evolve with comedy.
Yes.
So, this movie begins with Sherlock Holmes as a child, and he goes to a boarding school. And in this boarding school, he's kind of picked on. So he's got his little pet turtle, his violin, anything quote-unquote associated with Sherlock Holmes. Except for he's not smart. Mm-hmm. And he's sitting there dreaming of this girl in school that he's got a crush on. And two bullies come up to him and be like, hey, this girl wants to kiss you. Put on this blindfold. Okay, so he puts on the blindfold and he goes to kiss the girl.
Bird Box influence.
And he kisses a donkey's ass.
Sorry. That's not funny. That's pretty funny. I'm sorry.
But is it funny for Sherlock Holmes? If a random person does, he's supposed to be brilliant. So he starts crying, and his tear goes halfway down his face, and then it stops. He's like, nope, I'm never going to cry again. I'm not going to show emotions. And he brings the tear up, and then light bulb. And he starts talking about every student and what they do wrong, and everyone gets expelled. So he's at this school all by himself.
Okay, that's a little weird. Yeah, no wonder people wanted to walk out.
That's the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Seems like one of those, how do I say, those disaster movies, those spoof movies, like scary. You know how scary movies started that whole slew of disaster movie, blah blah blah. It's like one of those straight to video. Yeah,
it's just not good. So then we get to that mosquito scene. So Holmes and Watson, we get introduced to them, and they're late for court. So James Moriarty, is on trial, and all the witnesses have been killed. And the only person that make Moriarty seem guilty or find Moriarty guilty is Sherlock Holmes. Mm-hmm. So he's got 10 minutes to get to the courthouse.
Okay.
Like Sherlock Holmes is going to be late for court or not be at court when I mean, that's nitpicking. I understand it's nitpicking. Mm-hmm. But it's important to get a character right, that character that's been established. So instead of going to court, he's playing with this mosquito.
All right.
Watson jumps off the third floor, falls down, comes into the courtroom somehow, alive in one piece, and he starts shooting his two revolvers throughout the court. He hits the gavel of the judge.
Why
he shoots a person because he's introducing Sherlock Holmes. Bang, 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 bang. I give you Sherlock Holmes. Yet he kills someone. It's not. It's funny in the sense that it's so extreme, but you're just watching. You're like, he's the good guy. Why is he shooting up a court? Like, that would never happen.
So now I can start to see why people got up and walked out of this. Just kind of this is not sounded appealing for me to watch right
So
now.
Holmes walks in, and he's like, this is not James Moriarty. This is another guy. And if you look, and he starts to explain why, like his hand is trembling because he didn't actually say it, but he was using like 3 or 4 different analogies to say he masturbates a lot. So he masturbates so much that his hand tremors, so he couldn't be Moriarty.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I'm not gonna...
It's funny when I say it, but when it drags on for 3 minutes in the movie, not funny. So anyways, he then says, I found fingerprint evidence. I've discovered fingerprints. Okay. And I found Moriarty's fingerprints all over the crime scene. Therefore, it couldn't have been Moriarty.
Wait, what? Oh, okay.
Because Moriarty's too smart to leave his fingerprints. So clearly this is not Moriarty. Moriarty is on his way to America. And the judge is like, I believe you. And his gavel's broken, so he makes the noise. Bang, bang. This is a free man.
But isn't he part of the whole... Okay. All right, sweet. Awesome movie so far. I'm really intrigued.
So from
Amazing.
there, Sherlock Holmes and Watson are invited to meet Queen Victoria.
Ooh.
So they go to Buckingham Palace, and we see that scene from the preview that Watson says, "I love you, I'm in love with you," and grabs her hand and won't let go. And they meet the Queen for the first time, and then the Queen brings them into, I guess, her main chamber, and we find out this is actually a surprise birthday party for Sherlock Holmes, and Sherlock's known about it for weeks.
Okay.
Yay. I just want to kind of talk about this. I will admit this is a little nitpicking of it, but I'm a history person, and that comes with the territory. Why is Queen Victoria throwing a birthday party for someone she's never met?
Because it's Sherlock Holmes. He's famous.
But he's a detective. Why would
he's
the Queen
the
of
most
England,
famous detective in all of England?
Why would the Queen of England deal with a at least meet him a couple times first? I don't know. And he didn't capture Moriarty. Moriarty did get away. Let's actually talk about this concept. Moriarty gets away, and he's celebrated as the greatest detective. Shouldn't he be criticized for not catching Moriarty and letting another victim go?
Yeah, but listen, Queen Victoria doesn't roll that way. This isn't your grandpappy's history. This is Holmes and Watson's history.
Okay, so a birthday cake comes, and Holmes goes to cut the cake. It won't cut. Watson comes in. It's not cutting. I think we're all kind of getting the idea. There's a dead body in there. But they get a big, huge axe. Goes to cut the cake. Dead body comes out. On the dead body is a note saying that the Queen of England will die in 2 days.
Oh, okay.
The Queen of England, who's supposed to have a huge army to protect her, is going to be killed by Moriarty.
He's going to poison her.
Then why don't you send her away somewhere? She's the Queen of England. This is your time to go vacation somewhere in the colonies. Go to Canada. Go to India, Australia. Go somewhere. Go on a little vacation. Really? I don't know if that's nitpicking, but come on. Anyway. So
This movie sounds amazing.
So Watson goes to give an autopsy of this person. And he meets two Americans. An American doctor, who we see that's the scene in the preview. It's
where they laugh
you're a female doctor. You can't be a doctor. She's from Boston. Now, I do have a question for you. Again, maybe nitpicking, but I just don't understand it. This person is threatening the Queen. Shouldn't the best autopsy or the best doctor be giving the autopsy for this?
Maybe.
Why are they giving it to... No,
the best doctor.
Well, not Watson. This American girl.
Oh, okay. Oh, she's doing it. Wonderful.
Yeah, with Watson, and then they kind of fall in love. And then the other girl, who's apparently has the brain of a 6-year-old, Holmes falls in love with her.
That's unpleasant.
So, but maybe the stupidest part in the movie is when they enter this morgue, they see this dead body, and Sherlock Holmes gets sick. So apparently, when Sherlock Holmes sees a dead body, he vomits. He's a detective, right?
Didn't he see the dead body with the cake?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking the same thing when I watched the movie. I turned to my buddy Sean, and I'm like, didn't he see a dead body 30 seconds earlier? But apparently that's okay. They wanted to make Sherlock Holmes, squeamish.
Okay.
So he spends the next day kind of doing his detective work. And I'm going to air quote detective work, because he starts by saying that because through the autopsy they couldn't find a cause of death. So Sherlock Holmes says, I'm pretty sure he was poisoned. And then in order to prove his theory, he poisons Watson.
Oh, okay.
Purpose? I don't know.
Isn't Holmes kind of a dick to Watson in all the series?
No. Not at all. I mean, he tests Watson, but not in a negative way. Not to poison him just for the sake of poisoning him. So anyway, gives them the antidote. They go off to like the worst part of London. They go get some drinks. He ends up sending like a drunk text or telegram to his lady doctor friend, which includes a dick pic.
How do you?
Again, they try to say it like they try to take a picture. Make sure you get that all in there. Describe it well. Like really, it's not funny. At least I didn't find it funny. Maybe you'll find it funny. I didn't because again, they're making Watson a buffoon. They're making Sherlock Holmes a buffoon. I can't handle my liquor. We have that boxing scene I kind of talked about, which is a waste of a scene. We see Sherlock Holmes put on a mustache, and Watson's like, "I'm gonna shoot you." Oh no, Watson, it's just me. Take off the mustache. Oh, good job, Holmes. You put on a mustache. That's the greatest. That's worse than Superman in the glasses. And then he puts on the mustache again, and he goes to shoot him again.
Okay,
they make him into a buffoon.
That sounds super horrid. I don't know. Anyway.
So after that night, Queen Victoria comes to Sherlock's house at 21B Baker Street.
Okay.
221 B Baker Street. And, okay, I lied. This is the worst scene in the movie.
All right.
So they go to take that selfie you see in the preview, and then Watson smashes the Queen over the head with the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Queen smacks her head on a table.
She's dead.
They think she's dead. This doctor checks her pulse. She's dead. So they try to throw her in a chest while the guards are staying outside. They're banging her. They're smashing her. Then they go to cut her up. And the guards come in and it's like, she wakes up. And she's like, I want a copy of that picture. What? Explain this to me. It's not funny. It's stupid. It's I don't even know how to describe it.
This does sound like an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, I think that's very fair. So then Holmes goes to see his brother Mycroft, who pushes him towards someone you know. The person who is responsible for all this is someone you know. So Holmes is like, "Oh, it's Watson." So he goes to the police station and says Watson did it all. Watson goes to jail. Yay! And then then Holmes feels a little guilty for it, and then there's a musical number.
Oh. So they're trying to pull Steph McFarlane over
Pretty much. So then we find out that the real culprit is Mrs. Hudson, the housekeeper, who is the daughter of Moriarty.
He didn't know that?
Apparently not, and that's totally uncanon for the story. Miss Hudson is definitely not related to Moriarty in any way, shape, or form. So her plan is to blow up the Titanic.
How does that kill the Queen?
Because the Titanic is in London on the River Thames.
Oh, okay.
And she's on it for its maiden voyage.
Oh, okay.
Okay, couple things. Again, nitpicking maybe. But, okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Titanic sailed in 1912. Queen Victoria died in 1901. The Titanic was also a ship that couldn't steer very well. It would not have been able to get to London, England through the River Thames. I'm sorry, but it just wouldn't happen. It is ludicrous.
Thank you for that quick history lesson. I actually didn't know that. So I actually learned something today, and that's really wonderful.
So Mrs. Hudson has left a bomb in the room that the Queen is in a drum. It is Watson who figures it out, not Sherlock Holmes, because Sherlock Holmes isn't smart enough to figure it out. And then Sherlock Holmes is trying to devise a plan to figure out how to get the bomb out in time, because there's 2 minutes left, or a minute left. So he's doing that math in his head. But every time he does, he thinks of a girl, and he can't figure it out. So Watson's like, screw it, I'll do it. He grabs the drum, rips it open, grabs the bomb, throws it out the window. It falls in Mrs. Hudson's ship. She dies. Watson saves the day.
Moriarty still, why would it be Miss Hudson?
I don't know. No one knows why it's Miss Hudson. It makes no sense because she's the daughter of Moriarty, apparently.
And Moriarty's still out doing his thing.
That's it. And Moriarty went to the U.S. So the last scene in the movie is Moriarty, Holmes and Watson in Colorado, kind of spying on Moriarty. That's it. That's the movie. That
Sounds like a great movie. 10 out of 10.
3 out of 10.
Deserves.
That's what
Oscars.
I gave it. A 3 out of 10. Don't
he doesn't
watch
know what
it.
He's talking about. This movie deserves Oscars.
It would probably be my fifth worst movie of the year because it's still not some of those other movies I hated more than it. There were, like I said, there were a couple of funny scenes. They modernized the humor a lot. So Sherlock Holmes is looking for a hat and he puts on a fez that says "Make Britain Great Again."
Okay.
When the Americans come over and they're talking about like their systems, the America's like our system is so good. We're a democracy, unlike you, who is a monarchy. We would never have anyone who's unqualified be our leader. Not a businessman. And there's the Electoral College that will always protect democracy, so the person with the most votes always wins. So I mean, there's some political humor that goes with it that's kind of funny, but I never like laughed incredibly. I thought the movie was horrendous. I would not recommend it to anyone. And like I said, 3 out of 10.
Do you think it'd get a sequel?
Well, I think that they were aiming to have a sequel for it, but the fact that it has 8% on Rotten Tomatoes, that people are walking out of the movies, that it's going to be one of the biggest box office bombs of the year, I'm going to go with no.
That's a shame.
It's not really a shame at all.
Do you think this is it for Will Ferrell, or are you still going to have... Do you think he's going to go the Eddie Murphy route, where it's crappy movie after crappy movie?
But he does have decent movies in there, right? Like Daddy's Homes, they weren't horrible, right? The Other Guys, which I think is one of my favorite movies
That was
I've
more
seen.
early 2000s, though. Early 2010s,
yeah,
2010.
But I mean, like he's got movies in there that are good. He just has to pick wiser movies, I think.
Yeah, I feel like he's starting to go on the decline. Whereas Steve Carell, he's going on the up.
Is that a little segue to our next movie?
A little bit of a segue on the next movie. Speaking of Steve Carell, what's the next movie we're talking about?
So we are going to review Welcome to Marwen. Welcome to Marwen. Just for those of you who are just tuning in now, there will be spoilers, so be sure to keep that in mind while you're listening.
Yeah, buddy.
Welcome to Marwen is a movie that came out on Christmas, and we are going to delve deep into this one. And Xavier, have you seen this movie?
No, I haven't.
Really?
No.
You know I was in the theater with you and you saw it.
That was a
right?
different black guy? That's racist? Not all black people look alike.
I have no comment to that.
Yeah, you shouldn't comment. So we're going to get canceled because of you.
What do I say to that? Like, what do you want me to say?
Nothing.
All right, let's focus on Welcome to Marwen, okay? Jeez. So Welcome to Marwen is based on a true story. What did you think? I talked a lot during the last movie review. Why don't you talk about this one?
Yeah, I really liked it. Steve Carell, last 2 movies of the year that he was in, I really liked, which is Vice and Welcome to Marwen. This is a really good movie. Interesting concept. So the way it works is this guy, he was attacked because he wore heels, and it was a hate crime. So a bunch of biker-looking dudes attacked the guy.
Neo-Nazis.
That's a terrible thing to do. Beat up people because he was wearing heels.
They're different.
Yeah. Which he seemed like a nice guy. A little bit odd, right? But who cares? Whatever floats your boat, floats your boat. Live life. Do what you want. So what he does is he's a little bit of an artist. So he used to draw and sketch things, but because he got beat so bad, he can't draw anymore, so he takes pictures. So he takes pictures with these little dolls, right? So he buys these dolls, and these dolls pretty much are influences on his life. So, for example, one of the dolls is the lady that helped him heal after he got beaten up.
Wendy.
No, not Wendy, the black girl. That.
Oh, no, he didn't help her. That is,
She helped him with
Julie.
his rehab.
That's Julie. Yeah, she helped him with the rehab. She also was going through rehab. She lost her leg, right?
She lost her leg. Another good one is the.
Well, there are 5 women that are, or sorry, 6 women that are kind of part of it.
Mhm.
So the movie kind of begins in the doll world, right?
Yeah.
So he kind of is rehashing an old picture, right? Normally he kind of tells new stories,
Mhm.
but just to kind of get the audience caught up, because he's been it was with 2 or 3 years.
3 years.
It's been 3 years since he's been beaten up. So to get the audience ahead, the director chose to kind of show us the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
So he's flying in this World War II plane, and he gets shot down by the Nazis. And he gets out at the last second, and his shoes were
burned up
in the plane
so
crash.
he takes woman's shoes, which I find very interesting. It tells the story of how he got
Exactly.
beat
So he then sees these 5 Nazis who are metaphors for the real life Nazis that beat him up. So like every character in this doll world are people he knows, and the Nazis being the
people that beat him up.
So they start to beat him up. They cut him. They cut his eye, and it's these 6 ladies that save him. They shoot all the Nazis. The Nazis die.
But they keep coming back. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So the women are the big one, the one that saved him was named Wendy, but Wendy kind of right off the bat gets put into the R.I.P. box.
Yeah.
So anyone who dies in
anyone that leaves his life, pretty
Marwen
much.
Cole, which is what he calls his doll world, they get put into this R.I.P. rest in peace box, and they don't come back out. So the 5 ladies that are in Marwen Cole, that are the women of Marwen, are Roberta, who's the owner of the store where he gets his dolls, Julie, who is the friend from that Mark meets in rehab, Anna, who is the Russian housekeeper, Suzette, which is the actress, Mark's favorite actress.
What kind of actress is she?
An adult film star. And Carl.
What's an adult film star do? It's not quite sure.
She makes adult films. And then there's
isn't
Carl,
that 18R?
Yes, 18A. And then there's Carl Lala, who is his friend at the bar that he was leaving when he got.
They make
beaten up.
meatballs together.
And the Nazis keep coming back to life because of the evil witch of Marwen Cole, or the witch of Belgium.
What was her name again?
Deja. She's like this green or bluish kind of character with her hair.
Bluish. Aqua, maybe?
Teal? Aqua? Something like that. So that's kind of the doll world, and we see that first. And then in the real world, we see Mark. And Mark is the character that gets beat up. We see his struggles. And what's he really struggling with, Xavier?
He's struggling with... So obviously he got beat up, and it's a very traumatizing experience. He's struggling with, I want to say, self-doubt.
Anxiety.
He doesn't feel anxiety. He doesn't feel safe anymore. Another thing, he has amnesia a little bit.
He cannot remember anything from the day before he got beaten up.
Yeah.
And when he looks through his book, he's thinking, was I married? Was I an artist? There's these pictures. He doesn't know who he was.
Yeah. He just pretty much has a new idea. He used to be, honestly, his drawings were very great. Really good. I mean, very great. I can't speak English today. But, yeah, you can tell he's having these struggles, and throughout the movie, that's the theme, how he handles those struggles, right? And he usually handles it through his dolls and everything like that.
And I found this was a very compelling story. I felt for Mark immediately. I thought Steve Carell did a great job with this character, and we kind of are introduced to a new neighbor that moves in across the street, Nicole. And Nicole is someone that Mark sees right away, and he's enamored by her. By probably her beauty, I would say.
Yeah.
So he decides to make a doll out of her.
He finds a doll that looks just like her, and it's a redhead like Nicole. And I'm not gonna lie, the first part, I feel bad, but I just got a little creeped out. He's just watching. He's like, "Oh, what's that? Who's that?" He's peeking up and just kind of.
And this guy goes to the self-doubt, right? He's after getting beat up, he's lost his ability to socially interact with people. And we see that throughout everyone. When he's interacting with all of these women, we see it. So the person I would say he's probably closest with is Roberta, right? The store
Yeah.
owner. And we kind of get this idea that Roberta has a crush on Mark.
Yeah.
She feels for him. She invites him over for dinner.
Invites him for to go see, let's see, movies. Was it a movie?
Yeah, a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
Like we clearly know this is the romantic relationship that we think that's going to happen. But the real romantic relationship as being written is this with Nicole. So Nicole kind of comes over and asks Mark, "Hey, what's going on?" And Mark explains everything about his life, about Marwen Cole to Nicole, and he's telling him the stories of all of these ladies. And she's interested, right?
Yeah.
She's very interested. She supports Mark like all of the girls do. Like,
yeah, they feel, once they hear a story, they tend to support him, right? They felt that he's by himself. He's honestly, if I was in that movie, I'd probably try to help the guy out too, but I don't know, maybe he wouldn't like me.
Right, exactly. And then what we get is kind of, she asks him, who's this other girl that's kind of Deja, who's in this thing, and he's like, so like he explains like how Roberta is the store owner, Julie is from the rehab, right? She explains who all the dolls are, and Nicole's like, who's this one? Who does she represent? And he's like, I don't know yet. And I don't want to talk about. I think both of us picked up on who it was right away.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go into that right now.
Never mind. Well, that's a spoiler too.
Yeah. So this Nicole doll right away takes to Mark, and Mark's like, no, you can't touch me because any girl who comes close to Mark gets killed by Deja.
Yeah.
Or not killed, gets sent 1,000 years into the future.
Yeah.
So they start a romance at night, surprising everyone.
So Deja can't see at night. She's not operational.
Yeah. So he actually proposes to Nicole, and Nicole says yes.
Mm-hmm. In the
doll
world.
In the doll world. So then what's going on, though, really, in real life, Mark actually proposes to the real Nicole, and Nicole's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lead you on.
He's in the friend zone, guys.
He's in the friend zone. But Mark takes it really, really hard.
Yeah.
And this sends him into this kind of dark spiral.
He wants to do as much drugs as possible.
And yeah, so he's taking these pills, these aqua pills, teal pills, blue pills.
Yeah.
He's supposed to take one a day. But he goes through them a little bit faster than that.
Like that.
A little bit faster.
He's a pill popper.
Yeah,
He's what we call in today's society a bean.
I don't know what that is.
It's a pill popper.
Okay, fair enough.
It's for the younger viewers.
Oh, for the younger viewers. There you go. It's called a bean, you said?
A bean.
A bee?
A bean. Like a bean? Like chicken and beans?
Oh, okay, so a bean. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So when Mark ever does leave his home, which he doesn't, he does sometimes. Like he goes to work at the bar where he got beat up. Mm-hmm. He goes to the courthouse. He always brings his dolls with him.
With
dolls
his Jeep.
And his Jeep.
That
and he
Jeep
kind of
is
carries
amazing.
him around. It is a very cool Jeep. It is really cool.
If I was a kid, he has better toys than I did as a kid.
Oh, yeah. Now, but again, he probably gets it all from that photography, right? He gets paid for all the photography, and he's gonna have a show that he hasn't decided whether he's gonna go to or not. So Mark has to go to court for the sentencings of the 5 people who beat him up, but he's avoiding the call. He doesn't want to go because of the anxiety, the fear.
Yeah, they beat him senseless, and you can really tell that this really, really affected him. He's traumatized.
He's traumatized, and you really feel
PTSD for him.
Exactly, and again, this is where I really find the compellingness of the story because Steve Carell makes me feel for him every time I see him in the real world. I really kind of I feel for that character. I can't even imagine what it'd be like to be bullied that much, to be beaten, to be afraid of your shadow. Yeah,
and to be afraid to even set and talk to society, right? That's how scared he was. Like, he was very... Before then, we get little flashbacks, and we see how he's very confident in himself, very happy, enjoyed life. He had not a care in the world. And then to see what he becomes, it's kind of like... Actually, I just won't get into it. I was going to say it's like the transformation from Theon in Game of Thrones, right? How he becomes Reek. But, for him, where you see how he transforms from this confident guy to this guy that's scared of pretty much, like you said, his own shadow.
Yeah, so when he goes to the courthouse for the sentencing, the judge brings in the people who beat him up, and he gets one look at him, and the people who beat him up turn into the dolls, their Nazi doll form, and he loses it, and his actual doll comes to life and shoots the judge and everyone, and helps him escape. Now,
well, he doesn't shoot the judge; he shoots the Nazis.
Sorry, the judge gets shot by the Nazis.
Yes.
Sorry, that's what it was. So he runs.
He's the hero, not the villain.
The Mark doll tells him, "Get out of here, Mark! I got you!" And really, what happens is he just runs out of the courtroom in fear. And the judge says, "We'll give you a week. Like, get your crap together."
It wasn't like that. It was just he was like, "Yeah, I'll give you time to."
But again, and this is a great scene to kind of get you to feel like he's afraid to be in the room with these people. Yeah. And this is just for the sentencing. They've already been found guilty. It's what's the sentence do they get? Do they get the minimum sentence or the maximum? And the lawyer wants to get the maximum sentence because of it was a hate crime, as Xavier pointed out earlier. So after this rejection, after this court scene, Deja asks Mark to build him a time machine. What are your thoughts on the time machine, by the way?
I feel like the time machine was to be used to go back in time.
No, sorry, no, I don't mean that. I mean the look of the time machine.
The Back to the Future.
That Robert Zemeckis, who directed this movie, directed Back to the Future, right?
Sorry, my apologies. I thought you meant what
it's a DeLorean time machine that he goes into. So, Mark took the rejection hard. He goes to take a bunch of pills, and then we get into this climax. And we have the Nicole doll being shot by the Nazis. We have Mark and Deja about to leave in the time machine to go to the future. And at the same time, we're going from real world to doll world. Yeah. And the real world, Mark's opening the pill. So now we get this idea that Deja isn't an actual girl that Mark knows. It's the pills.
It's the pills. And the time machine's metaphor is to
death.
Kill
to
yourself.
Go into the future. Yeah. So he's going to take the entire bottle of pills and kill himself. As Mark is kind of trying to save Nicole to bring her with him because apparently Nicole was saved.
Yeah.
He grabs Deja's arm and we see that she's wearing a Nazi kind of swastika on her arm, and he makes the connection that she's a Nazi spy and that the pills and in the real world and in Marwen Cole, the doll world, that Deja is a Nazi that is helping keep Mark down.
It's helping him. It's suppressing his true feelings. Like, it's not the best route. It's pretty much anti-drugs. It's more natural.
So just before Deja gets off in the time machine, he jumps out and Deja leaves. And with Deja gone, all of the Nazis, they stay dead. And we see their
skeletons.
Skulls, they turn into skeletons. So Deja is really the pills, and this is the symbol, this climax is the symbol of him breaking this addiction. So,
what a great the symbolism is so amazing in this movie.
I really like it.
I just want to say that.
To me, this is a story about humans versus, addiction. And I think that it's not even just addiction, it's your self-worth, it's your pain, how pain can destroy.
Yeah.
And what we see in this movie is resiliency at its finest. I like the fact that the delicacy people have around Mark, or how anyone, like, whenever, think of anyone that has a loss in their life, right? When you have to deal with them, you're always a little different around them. You kind of walk on eggshells a little bit.
Yeah. And everybody that's had a terrible experience, we always do that. Sorry, my apologies.
And what we see in this is we see the lawyer being very, very kind to him. We see Roberta. We see Carlola. We see a lot of these people. I thought it was a really good job, and I thought Steve Carell did a great job with his acting in it.
Yeah, I agree. It was well done to Steve Carell. Like I said, the man's been he's been on the rise.
Yeah. And I think that the ending of the movie, when he goes to court and he gives that speech and he kind of asks Roberta out, and they kind of like to show that he's moved on. He's no longer going to live.
He's not in the dark place anymore.
In that dark place. And I really liked it. So, but I do have a question for you. Now, this movie's not doing very good. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't have it very good. There's a lot of criticism towards this movie. Why do you think people don't like it?
Uh, I never really. I don't. I don't have the right answer for that. Maybe it's because of the other movies that are doing well. I feel like a lot of the movie. I'm not other. There isn't a lot of movies that came out at the same time
Yeah,
around.
like
Right?
Bumblebee that has 94 on Rotten Tomatoes,
Yeah.
whereas this one's got 30.
Right. And
I'm not saying this movie's perfect. There are flaws to this movie, and we'll get to what we didn't like about this movie in a moment. Like there are flaws to it. It's not a masterpiece. It's not a work of art. But 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, I don't get it. Do you think Do you think that people missed the message about addiction?
I feel like a lot of it is more interpretation. Plus, I feel the reason why Bumblebee's so popular is because people think they fixed the Transformers because they all think it's a reboot. But
do you think people are missing the moral? Like, we picked up the moral right away, right? Addiction, overcoming, resiliency, especially like in our world where I think people are not equipped to deal with resiliency anymore. That people crack under pressure. They can't deal with problems. This movie is to me not just the biopic that it is, but it also shows kids, teenagers, adults that you can overcome things and overcome addiction.
Yeah. That's a very valid point. I feel yeah, like I said, I'm at a loss for words. Most of the time, people are kind of find a lot of times people just want the big wow action, boom, right? That's the problem with that. Like the Marvel movies are popular, but they just want more. A lot of people taking action, right? No one likes to look at the symbolism of movies anymore.
And maybe that's it. Maybe that's the problem. Like we've lost the ability to analyze these metaphors, right?
Yeah.
Like we've talked about. There's a lot of metaphor in this movie. This movie doesn't tell you everything. You have to read between the lines a little bit. Now it's not. There's no real master twists in this movie.
Yeah.
But you have to read between the lines a little bit. I will tell you, I really like this movie, and do you come one of the things that were criticized about this movie where people said they didn't feel for Mark. I've already told you I really felt for Mark. Do you agree with the people who say that you can't relate to Mark, that he's not you don't the writer and the director do not give us pathos or reasons to care about him?
I would disagree. I find there's plenty of reasons to care about Mark. Like literally from the first set, you see that he's timid, he's scared. People don't really like anybody that has that traumatic experience already. Like right, you get beat up by like 6 people. I've never been jumped by 6 people, but I imagine it'd be totally unpleasant. And it's weird that people are saying that.
I think it's very weird. Mm-hmm. I think from the very beginning of the movie, I felt for him. I was invested in him. And again, this speaks not only to the writing of the story, but to Steve Carell.
Yeah.
And his acting. Like he is great. I saw, this might be going too far, but I saw a lot of Michael Scott in this character. Maybe not like the buffoonery of him.
Not the buffoonery, but the loneliness.
The just wanting to be a part of something, but not being able to, right? It's like you see the awkwardness of Michael Scott when he's trying to be friends with Jim or other people in the office. Whereas I really felt a lot of that in this movie. And again, I really liked that. Yeah, I thought he was the perfect actor for this movie.
Yeah, honestly, there's some people that get a good role. Like, that was good for him. This role was made for him. Well, not made for him. It's not a role. It's a
biography.
Yeah.
But no, granted, it's a fictional biography, right? Yeah. Like the dolls in this movie that were made were not all of the dolls in the real world. Mm-hmm. There's truth to the movie, but it's at the end of the day a movie where they've pushed it forward. This is actually, there was a documentary made for this. I think it's called Welcome to Marwen Cole, which is the name of the actual city, and you can go watch it. I think it's on Netflix if you want it. Yeah. And that's something that I will probably do over the next month or two when I have some time.
See more about this. This is an interesting story.
I'm interested in him. I was invested. Mm-hmm. So here's a question. And this is like one of the questions that we were talking about a little bit after the movie, or that was brought up to me. Do you think that him making dolls of people in his life, do you think that's a little creepy?
Uh, I mean, me personally, I wouldn't do it, but everybody has their own way of dealing with their problems and coping with that, and it helped him. Obviously, it helped him heal. So I wouldn't say, "Oh, don't do that because it's creepy." I would say, me personally, I wouldn't do it, but it helped him heal. Most people would probably say it's creepy, but you have to know the context of what happened to him.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's the motives behind something.
Hmm.
Do you understand? Like these women that he made dolls of, they were his inspiration.
Yeah.
They're what offered him hope. They were the protectors, right? In the very first scene, it's the Nazis beating him up and the woman standing up protecting him. The
Yeah.
women protect him, not the other way around. This isn't a chauvinistic movie where Mark has to protect all of these women. The
Yeah.
women are actually protecting Mark. So if we actually know the context behind it, I think it's admirable that you think of me as someone that can help you. And again,
Yeah.
there's metaphors to this movie. This is a character that needs help,
Hmm.
but he doesn't know how to ask for it. He's socially awkward,
Yeah.
and I would have no issue with it, but I'm not. I don't take things personally in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care. I'd almost feel honored if someone made a doll out of me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with the context, right? It's all about motives, right? If someone's making a doll about you, like, hey, man, like, look, we made these two dolls and they're kissing and stuff. It's not like that. It's more hey, you really helped me out in my life, and would you like to make it? It's like someone making a character about someone.
Yes.
Inspired by a character, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same thing. Like I said, other people have different ways of
And
doing
and I think people think that the character is creepy because he's meant to be creepy because he's socially awkward.
Yeah.
And that's a whole element to it. It's not socially awkward because he's a loser. Or because he's a psychopath. He's socially awkward because of his confidence, because of all of his self-worth and his past experiences, right? All of these things. Again. Okay, we've praised this movie a lot, but let's talk about some criticisms.
Mm-hmm.
What are things that you didn't like about the movie?
I'd like more of an explanation on like a couple of things, right? I wanted to see more of what happened with the Wendy character, right? I was a little curious of what happened. They never really fully explained what happened with Wendy. She gets mentioned here and there, and then she was just a throwaway line like, "Oh, is Wendy gone?" Yep, she completely moved on, and then that was that. No more mention of her.
Well, absolutely. I that's my biggest criticism. The characters aren't developed.
Yeah.
Even both in the doll world and in the real world, we get like one scene of Anna, right? The Russian, the Russian housekeeper.
Yeah.
She's in one scene and then she's gone. We don't. From in that one scene, we get there's a connection there, but we don't see it.
Yeah.
Julie never actually comes into the movie. Like she's seen in a
just
video
in the background. She's just in one background flashback.
You talked about Wendy. Suzette, okay, doesn't need to be developed. Just a character.
Yeah,
she said that.
You know, she's his play toy.
Mm-hmm. So like even Carlala, she's not really developed.
Yeah, and this is the one he has the most. Roberta's the one he has the most interactions with.
And
with
Nicole, and those are probably the two that are developed the most.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have liked to see more of that. And again, I know that the movie's already long, but I would have liked to see more of that in the movie.
Yeah.
Not all the story arcs really end. There's a lot. I left the movie with more questions than I would have liked.
Yeah, like more information about Nicole and her ex. We didn't really see that. He was just kind of like a dick.
Yeah, that's it. He was in 2 scenes of the movie. He was starting to beat him up, and he was terrified of him, and then he kind of disappeared. I would have liked to know a little bit more of Marwen Cole. I would have liked to know more of what happened with Roberta. That they do have like that scroll of things that happened in his life, but there's not enough. They didn't give us enough closure, and again, to me, plot is so important. Not having that is important. We don't even know the verdict of the trial. What was this sentence that these guys got? Like the whole thing was part of the sub storylines was getting him to court, getting him to testify. So he does. What was the outcome? What happened to them? We even see in the trial scene, like one of the guys, you could tell was really sad about what he did. He was crying, like he felt bad about what he did. There was remorse, but we don't see the development of that remorse, right? We
Yeah.
don't see any any scenes with him or an apology given. I felt it wasn't necessary. Either just make them bad and don't worry about it, and just say, oh, they each got 10 years in jail, something like that. I would have liked more of Mark's world as well. Maybe his pre-life, whatever you got.
Yeah.
I will also say this. Maybe this is on me. I actually thought Roberta was Mark's wife throughout the movie. I thought for sure. Again, I hadn't seen the documentary, but the way it was written, like, I felt like
It sounded like it was his wife, and she's trying to get him to remember.
Yeah, or just be like trying to get back into his life because through a different way, through being nice to him. I don't know. Either way, there were flaws to this movie.
Yeah.
So what would you give it out of 10? What's your rating for this movie?
Let's rate it. We've talked about it a nice little 8. I'll give it an 8.
No, you're a little more generous than I am. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. And again,
because you're a hater, you hate dolls, you think he's weird.
I don't think he's weird. I really like the movie, but I can't give it an A. Bigot. I can't give it an A because it wasn't complete. There's more to the story. I love it. I love the concept of the story. I love the character, the acting, but it didn't give me enough. It didn't give me. If I leave with more questions and answers, I can't give you an A. B plus. I'd even go like 7.8. Like I go as close as I can to that A without giving it an A.
We don't do 0.8.
I know, so 0.5. Exactly. Right. So that's why I'm going 7.5. But like I would be leaning towards the 8. Like I'm there. Okay. I just needed a little bit more to get there.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. That's our review on.
So would you say that Welcome to Marwen escaped the 8?
It definitely escaped me.
Segue or what?
That is a pretty brutal segue.
Let me try again.
All right, try again. Take 2.
Would you say Mark escaped his demons?
Oh, that's a better one. There you go. Second time's a charm. So we are now going to talk about we're going to review Escape Room. We're going to go a nice, really good review. We're going to be thorough with this review. There's going to be spoilers in it, as you guys all know. We always deal in spoilers on this podcast. And we are going to be talking about Escape Room. So I'm going to start with a question.
Have I ever played an escape room? No, I have not.
You've never been in an escape room?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you got to do an escape. Escape rooms are so much fun.
New Year's resolution, escape room.
Why don't we do that? We should do one together.
Okay, we should do one. How about I just escape you from my life?
Okay.
Just kidding.
I'll get another co-host next episode. If you don't want to be on the show anymore, you just tell me.
I'm sorry, your reaction was just priceless. It was just.
I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say to that. Like, okay, all right, fine. I want to escape you too. I'm inviting you to an escape room, and that's the best you got for me.
Don't worry, we'll definitely do an escape room together.
All right, but that should be our New Year's resolution.
Okay.
I'll get you through it. Yeah, there's an Alcatraz room we should do.
Okay, we're gonna.
I believe our producer Dave is a very big fan of escape rooms.
Why do you want me to do the prison one? Is there any particular reason?
Alcatraz. Oh, I'm thinking of going to California this summer. I want to go to Alcatraz.
Okay. I think I feel like going to California.
Yeah, maybe you should come with me. Maybe we'll do an escape room in California. Maybe we should escape from Alcatraz, the real Alcatraz. That's stupid. I apologize.
I could do it. I know how to do it. I'm very smart.
All right, so you've never been to an escape room. What did you think of the concept of this movie? You kind of, in the beginning, kind of said what you thought about this movie. So what do you think of the concept?
So the concept, I feel like it's kind of like Saw, but it's the motives behind it aren't as just. It's just for no reason. I don't know. It's trying to be like the gladiators in Rome or something like that.
Okay. I don't think it's like Saw.
Yeah. Well.
I am going to toe this line that it is not like Saw. Saw is gore porn. That's what Saw is. Saw is about torture. Saw is about blood. It's about agony. It's about suffering. And at the end of the day, it's about overcoming a demon. That's what it is. He's giving you the chance to overcome your demon. You've done something bad. He's giving you a chance to make amends for it. It's psychopathic. but it's at least we have a motive behind it that makes sense. This movie doesn't have any of those aspects to Saw. At least I don't see it. Am I wrong in any of that?
Yeah, you're wrong in everything, but...
But how? If you're going to tell me I'm wrong, tell me how I'm wrong.
I find... So the reason why I'd find it more like Saw is they wake up, they're a bunch of people, they're in a room, no one knows what their past is like, and you discover their past via whatever they've done. Only one person, spoiler, has... Well, two people have done something really bad in their life. The other people are just...
Who's done something bad in their life?
Like in those two movies. The one guy drove Jason...
He didn't do anything bad. He survived.
He drank and drove.
Oh, that's not. Oh, sorry, not Jason. That you're thinking of Ben. You're right.
Ben drank and drove. And Jason, he killed his friend for his jacket.
Yeah, one of them was gonna die. He didn't want to be. I don't consider that. I consider it survival. That's something that Jigsaw would be all about.
That's not what he's all about.
Wanting
he's all
to live.
about
Living.
Don't all
give
about
up.
Making you.
It's exactly what it is. Don't give up on life.
Jigsaw. His concept is, hey. You're a scumbag. Convince you, what's it called? You're gonna die unless you convince your sins and overcome something traumatic.
I think that's what it became later on, but the early movies was about depression and overcoming it. Think of Amanda, right, from Saw 2. She was an addict, or no, Saw 1. So she's right from the first one. She becomes his apprentice, right? But she was a druggie. So she didn't want to live anymore. Like that was kind of the thing, right? Remember, even Jigsaw himself, right? He tried to kill himself. It didn't work, and he was using this idea to push forward. So it kind of became about punishing people, but a lot of times it's about when you give up on life, pushing forward.
Okay, that's a very beautiful way to look at the movie Saw.
So I found Escape Room to have no plot, no suspense. And I don't think it's a horror movie. There's no scares. Were you at any? Did you jump at any point? Were you at the edge of your seat at any point?
I think it's more trying to maybe be a thriller. Maybe try to get you thrilled. Like, ooh, are they gonna escape this room? How are they gonna do it?
But
it's a mystery.
But is it a thriller? Are you a thriller? How would you define a thriller? At your edge of your seat. Engaged. Were you ever like that in this movie?
Well, that's a good thriller. Bad thrillers, not so much. So let's say this is a bad thriller.
Okay, I definitely don't think it's a horror movie though.
No,
definitely not. And again, Saw as a whole, it would be that horror movie. You're afraid.
I wouldn't say. I don't think Saw's a horror movie either. I think it's more. Because I'm not afraid when I watch Saw.
Yeah, but you're afraid of what happens to them. Again, everything about them. You're I don't know. I personally don't get scared in movies, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I don't get scared of movies.
Okay, well, we're gonna find a movie to scare you.
So there are 6 characters that get invited to this escape room. We have Zoe, who's a physics student, who's a genius, and she survived a plane crash. You want me to explain them all?
We got Jason. He's a finance dealer. He's a big shot guy. He's like, look at me, I'm selling this. And he survived a crashed yacht.
Yep.
And he killed his his roommate.
Later, we find that out later on. He's shady. All we know is he's got a little shade to him at the beginning of this escape.
He's killed a dude for a jacket, okay? He's a murderer.
So then we've got Ben. And Ben works at a grocery store. He's a little bit of an alkie. He survived a car crash that he started by drinking and driving. And he was responsible for the death of the 4 people.
Then we got Amanda. She's a soldier in Iraq. She survived an IED explosion.
We got Mike, who is a truck driver. He survived a mining accident.
And then we got Danny. He's an escape room specialist. He loves escape rooms, and he survived a carbon monoxide poisoning.
So they were all 6 of these people were the only survivors. That comes into play a little bit later.
Yes.
So before we get into the story of this, is there a character that did you feel for any of these characters?
Not one bit.
I felt for Mike. I like Mike.
You know what? Actually, now I think about it,
he wasn't really developed. He's probably the least developed of the 6 characters.
But
I actually felt for him. He actually was the most genuine character in the.
Yeah, he was just trying to have a good time. He was nice. He even took one for the team. We'll
Literally.
get into that later.
So
Sorry.
when
We'll get into that.
no, but when I look at this movie, this is where I start with. I don't feel for a character.
Yeah.
And if you're creating this escape room that they're supposed to work together, number one, you can't have shady villainous characters in there.
Yeah.
So they got to be out. And number two, you got to feel for these characters. And the one that I think they try to make you feel most for is Zoe, but they fail at every attempt at this.
Yeah, Zoe, I couldn't really care for her. She's just like, I don't know if I can do it. I need to believe in myself.
She's that socially awkward character. She's a brilliant, but like she's got no confidence. I don't know how to describe her. Like she didn't do it for me.
Yeah. It's
not that
it's the actor, maybe the acting and the way they're written. It's probably one of the.
Yeah, I'll blame the writing before I blame the acting because I don't know her from anything else, and she might be a fantastic actress. You know,
okay. Fair. You just trying to be.
But again, all of these, I think the writing of every character is poor. Like Amanda, a soldier, she fought a war, she survived an IED, and I don't feel for her. You failed as a writer if I can't feel for the soldier character.
Fair enough.
Anyways, so there are kind of 6 rooms in this escape room area. The first room is the waiting room, and when they're all in there and they try to get out, it turns into an oven.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this?
Them.
Yeah, it's cooking them. It's a heat room.
Any
thoughts on this room?
Trying to feel, I could care less. I was just like, I don't know. The room it's okay. It was bland. It's whatever.
I agree. I didn't. The clues were that you were supposed to fill up glasses of water, and there was just enough water for the 6 cups, and then they would open the door that allows them to escape, and they all escape.
Which is cool. I like that part. At least I wanted them all to escape at least the first.
Well, they had to because most of them still thought it was fake until the second room.
Yeah.
So the second room is the cold room. It looks like it's outside.
Yeah.
Freezing cold, minus 20 or 30 degrees.
I thought it was pretty good, though. I liked that aspect because they all came in dressed up, and then it made them strip down to get into the cold room.
I like that, but I'm going to tell you why a problem I have with it when we get to later in this. Just remember this. So they have to use a fishing rod it's this really deep water, and they connect a magnet to it, and they get this key that's filled with ice. Mm-hmm. And they have to use their body heat, so they use their hands and their arms and their stomach.
Honestly, I think they'd be dead by that room.
The fact they were in there for hours, probably not hours, but like probably close to an hour.
Yeah.
And the frostbite on their hand, like a lot of maybe again, I don't know if this is nitpicking or not, but if you've ever tried to make snow snowballs, you get frostbite pretty easily. Mm-hmm. To hold on to melt ice with your hands, it's a huge block of ice that's like that big, not that big. Yeah, no.
You thought it was this big?
Yeah,
I thought it was way bigger than that.
Whatever, even if it's more, it's a little key they have to get to.
Yeah.
You will die of frostbite. We also lose our first character, Danny.
Danny, yeah.
He gets blown into the ice.
And he falls into the ice because he's trying to get the lighter to burn down the ice, which I didn't think the lighter was gonna do much, anyways.
But done more than the hands.
Yeah, we gotta lose. It was a weird concept, but.
So from there, all of them but Danny make it to the billiards room. That's upside down.
Yes.
And this room, there's music that's being played. And when the music is done, a piece of the roof falls down. And if you're in that roof area, you fall
down, you die.
And they figure out, or Zoe figures out, because she's the one who's figuring this all out, because she's the brains behind it all, the person we're supposed to feel most for, how they get the code. And the nick of time, they all get to the door except for Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda has the worst idea. She puts the ball in her pocket and jumps, and then while she's upside down, the ball gets loose and falls down on the roof.
To the one little bit of roof. It's a ball that stops in the middle of a roof.
Let's thinking, man, if she falls down, how do they get out? Do you sit there and just die of starvation?
I guess.
So the ball falls down. So he picks up the ball. So he throws it at them. I would have thrown it at the beginning. I know you said maybe it's across.
It was
the
a
room.
far. It was far. It was a far. It's the whole
It's
room.
a far throw, but like you could just throw it in the corner as hard as you can, and either way, she threw it
should
anyways.
have climbed over, like she. So there's the pool table is the other way around. I would have climbed over the pool table. She decides to climb under and use it like monkey bars.
Yeah. Well, she's
with the balls.
Soldier. See, that's how she.
I don't know. So Amanda dies. She falls to her death.
Yes, he holds onto a telephone.
And the next room is the hospital bed, and they realize that they're all connected. That each one of them is the sole survivor. Excuse me. Of some kind of accident.
And they weren't supposed to survive. It was a hard chance.
Yes.
I mean, a low chance of survival rate.
So their clue is an EKG machine that they need to connect to fix their heart rate. Mike died from oh my god, learn how to speak today, Michael. A defibrillator.
Can I just say that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bad. That scene's sad, but it's kind of funny at the same time.
Yeah, Jason's like, I think the businessman Jason's like, you need to sacrifice yourself. And Mike's like, okay.
Yeah, he's just like.
So he hits him twice with the defibrillator and he dies. And then he realizes, but then Jason realizes that, oh wait, I don't have to raise my heartbeat, I have to lower my heartbeat because the design of the EKG was for him to win.
Mm-hmm. The funny thing, I just felt so bad. He's like, "Oh, okay, maybe I should do it." Hits once, he's like, "Oh!"
The cat hit him again! Hit him again!
The guy's like, "What are you doing?"
So while all this is going on, the Zoe is not helping on this case.
Yeah,
this is part of the problem. She realizes that the best way out is to break all the cameras. So she's starting to break all the cameras in the room. And as this is all going on, time's running out, and a poisonous gas is released. Jason and Ben are able to escape. Zoe gets suffocated to death by the poison. Mike's dead from the EKG. They go into the next room, the checkered room. There's no actual explanation.
Yeah.
And there's this hatch. So they both go to open the hatch, and they realize is that the
hatch has poison on it.
So they're both given something like LSD or whatever, and there's only one antidote, and they fight for it, and Ben somehow kills Jason, who we find out is a bit of villain the entire time.
Yeah. He's like, I have to live.
And Ben
I'll kill you all.
And Ben falls down into the study, which is the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
Which I didn't like, which we'll talk about in a moment. The room starts collapsing on itself, so it's like this just coming down.
It's like the Star Wars.
Except for it's only one side. And he uses a combination. It doesn't work, but he sneaks into the fireplace and is able to kind of survive. With his shield. I don't understand it. It makes no sense. But Ben survives. In the end, we find out that the game master is there, and he's explaining to Ben that this is all a game, and that each year they use a different place, and it's a different game. And this year, the stakes were the clients that were betting on this game wanted all sole survivors. And that Ben, his winning, he was the lowest person ever to win. And then the game master goes to kill him or kill Ben. But we also find out that Zoe actually survived. By killing all the cameras, no one realized she used the oxygen mask and was able to escape. So Zoe shoots the game master, and they both escape, and they bring cops back. And when they come back, it's all gone.
How fast was that? How fast did they do the cleanup?
Well, and this is what I want to talk about that cold room. That floor, the water was very, 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 very deep.
Yeah.
What the hell did they do with all that water?
I have no idea. Listen, they I don't know.
It's fundamentally flawed.
Yeah, that's the water room. The burn room, okay, I can understand them cleaning that and getting rid of that, but everything else, let's say the hospital room, the trippy maze room, and then the room with the
room that they destroyed with the study.
Yeah.
Well, where do they put all the stuff? They have trucks that they put it all into.
Yeah, that was very strange. The bodies.
They actually do explain the bodies. The bodies is explained. Remember, 6 months later, there's articles.
Oh, their bodies were found. Yes.
So like Amanda, who fell from the billiards room,
Died in a rock climbing
she died
accident.
by herself.
Yeah.
What Danny, who drowned, was found drowning. Jason was found ODing on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
And who's the last person?
The one guy died from a heart attack.
Yeah, died from a heart attack on the road.
Yeah.
That's how they explained all the bodies. But where did I want to go with this? So let's talk about the motives of the villains. I don't understand these motives. It's about gambling, right?
Yeah.
But is the game rigged?
Kind of.
I felt like the game was rigged towards Jason
to win.
Right? Like everything was like, sure, they had aspects of everyone's life, but to actually beat the mazes, especially towards the end, they were all deemed for Jason.
Yeah.
Like
coat wasn't there. There's the coat for him.
The EKG was designed for him.
Yeah.
So I don't understand it. Now, even still, can you bet on no one surviving?
Maybe.
Because like theoretically, what happens if they all died in the first room? They didn't figure it out.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that they figure it out.
I never really
like you said, like what happens if she doesn't throw the, or if she died, or if the key, if the 8-ball key falls to the end, like do they just,
or
is
what
it
happens
over?
if they never find the key, right? They drop something in the water, right?
Yeah.
The water's thin. Yeah, I don't know. They didn't seem to have a bet, and then randomly the game master was into the game, so like we'll see if he survives. I'm like, what? I thought the game was over.
Can you bet again, and how quickly? Like I just don't understand it. And then so we get this 6 months later, and we see that Zoe's still obsessed, and she's figured out where the next room's gonna be. So they're gonna get on a plane, her and Ben, to figure it out. And then we kind of
stop them.
Then we kind of get like I don't know, it's not really a post-credit scene, but it's kind of designed to be a post-credit scene where we see like a plane crashing, and like the stewardess, the air stewardess, or the flight attendants, they're trying to solve the case. Yeah. And when the plane crashes, we realize that here's their training ground, their testing ground, where they
it's a
organize
simulation.
the simulator. And we find out there's a 4% chance that Zoe can figure it out. Like those odds are not good.
Yeah.
So like again, if it's gambling, shouldn't the odds be pretty similar, like pretty good, like 50-50 even?
Well, she's exposing the truth, so maybe they're just trying to kill her.
But then why even give her the chance? Why not just kill her?
I don't know. Maybe they just want to make a game. You know, not everybody's a mastermind.
I don't know. I didn't love this movie. Here's the thing. It's semi entertaining. Like the clues, how they get out of the rooms, how they figure it out. You're semi entertained. But as a movie, as a villain, as a plot, it's very weak.
Yeah, I'd say the same. What'd you give it?
I gave it a 6 out of 10.
I'd give it a 4.
You failed it, eh?
Yeah, it's boring. Sucks.
Do you think they try to start a franchise with this?
Yeah.
Now, do you think that movies, especially horror or wannabe horror movies, should take note of that you don't try to create a franchise? You create a movie, and if the movie's good,
then you start the franchise.
Yes, you add to it later.
I feel like that should be for every movie. Don't try to start the franchise. Just make a good movie.
Exactly. You can put in like a little thing at the end of the movie, that like a little teaser, like at the end of the credits, like Marvel did with Iron Man. I know I keep talking about Marvel, but again, talk about successful franchise where you have like, I want to talk to you about the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like,
leave it open for a sequel. You know, not like they're like, yeah, there's gonna be a sequel. Like
I wouldn't even see. I don't even like that aspect to it. Like, don't leave it open for a sequel. Or if you're gonna leave it open for a sequel, don't have Zoe and Ben come back. They escaped, gone. See you later.
Yeah, their chapter's
this is
over.
in another escape room.
Okay.
Have the next year's escape room, right? Okay. Do it differently. See what worked and what didn't work from your first movie.
Yeah, especially with escape room, right? Because they cleaned up the place, they got away. They didn't need to have.
Why do we have to use the same characters over and over again? It's not. It's not. This is not a franchise that needs to have the same characters.
Yeah.
So I think that at the end of the day, you know, you can have them in a cameo if you really want, but I don't even think you need that. I think you can. I think you'd be fine without it.
Yeah, it's not like Star Wars, like a beloved film franchise where cameos where people be like, oh, you know, if in Escape Room 2 you see
It's
Zoe and Ben, people be like, I didn't see the first one. Who are these people?
yeah,
again?
and why would they go back? Why would they willingly go back into the escape room?
Yeah, if that was me and that happened, I'd be like, yeah, let me just move
I
away
survived.
to some different country and never, never speak again. And
I
just stay
know.
away.
I don't like it. Like I don't think it. I think movies should take note of this. Make a good movie, and if it can have a sequel, don't worry about the characters. If your concept's good enough, and I think this is why I think I gave it a little bit higher rating than I should have. I like the concept of the movie.
Okay.
I think there's potential there. I like this idea of this corporation creating this elaborate escape room and people die. You know what I would have done in this movie? You know how I would have made it successful, or how
What would you have done, Mike?
I would have had everyone survive after they died. Like they didn't actually die. So Danny falls through the ice, and we see him kind of moving. Have divers there that would have grabbed him out to make him survive. That when Amanda falls to her death,
Have like a parachute?
not a parachute,
not a
but
parachute,
a net.
A net.
Net that would have caught her. I would have done things like that. I definitely would not have killed off Mike or Jason the way they were killed off. I would have also had my backstory different. I wouldn't have made any of the characters. I wouldn't have needed a villain of my 6 characters. I don't think that's successful. I want to. If you want me, if I'm writing a movie and I want my audience to relate to these characters, I don't want to make them villains. I want an escape room. You have to work as a team.
Yeah.
So we see Jason kind of trying to work as a team,
But he's also kind of went a little lone wolf too.
exactly, and that's not what you want. It doesn't work for the movie you're trying to make. So being more consistent and maybe having a twist in there, I think it would have been a more successful movie. That's what I would have done. I don't know if it would have been good. Let me know what you guys think. Why don't you guys come up with your own theories or your own ways that you would have written this movie, and maybe you guys can give these producers an escape room 2 that can actually start a franchise.
Yeah.
I always think of like the Halloween movies because like the first 2 are Michael Myers, but the third one has no Michael Myers. He comes back in the 4th. It's like, you know what? Let's go with what works for us. Let's bring back Michael Myers. Season of the Witch, not good. We got what do you mean? Yeah, whatever. It's done. So that's those are the movies that we saw this weekend. Let us know what you think of them.
Are any of those movies going to be in the top 10 of your 2019 movies?
Well, only Escape Room is 2019, right? Holmes and Watson goes to the bottom 10 of 2018. And Welcome to Marwen. Well, we'll find out if it's on my top 10 in 2018 because that's what we're going to move on to now. We're going to give you, at this moment, our top 10 movies of 2018.
Woo! The best movies of the year!
I mean, I'm always excited for this.
These movies are the best movies, and you cannot dispute them. You cannot comment if we're wrong. We are right. Our opinions matter more than yours.
Yes, it does.
I'm putting my
foot
foot
remember,
down.
these are our opinions. I'll tell you what the kind of my thought process behind these movies. They're not necessarily the movies I enjoy. They're not necessarily the best plot-wise movies of the year. They're the movies I enjoyed the most throughout the year.
Yes, same.
If I was to give you a list of top 10 best movies of the year, it would be a different list. Granted, spoiler alert, my number ones would be the same.
Same.
But these are what I enjoyed the most of the year, and I'll tell you why I enjoyed them.
Bumblebee would be my number 1 movie.
Wasn't it on your list for bottom 10?
We just got into this. I told you that the first 5 minutes is number 1, and then the rest
is number 1 of the worst.
Yeah.
All right, so my number 10 movie of 2018 was Bohemian Rhapsody. Not Rhapsody.
I love that song. We're doing movies, not music, not songs. And that song didn't come out of that in 2018.
It came out. Yeah, that's fair. Bohemian Rhapsody was. I love Queen. I guess I should start with
Mama.
that. Do you know what that song's about?
It's what is it about?
It's about suicide.
Ooh. That's very dark.
It is, and you know what? One thing I liked about the movie, I liked the movie when they're actually talking about what the song's about. It's just words and craziness that Freddie Mercury kind of stops. He thinks about it, and you know what it's about, and he kind of infers it without actually saying it. I really like that aspect. I thought the movie was just great storytelling. You know, I learned a lot about Freddie Mercury. There are things that I knew he died from AIDS. I knew about. I remember. Oh, I don't remember Live Aid, but I remember reading about Live Aid or watching Live Aid, not live, but after. But that he left Queen for a bit. I didn't know that. I didn't know that like his how Queen evolved and how they were all kind of misfits. I didn't know aspects of like his family life. There was a lot of really interesting things I learned in that movie, and I love the music. As you talked about, like Queen's one of the greatest rock bands of all time.
Yeah, buddy.
It'd probably be the third. If I could see any band living or dead, it would probably be number 3 behind the Beatles and Frank Sinatra, and then it would probably
Frank
be Queen.
Sinatra's a band.
Well, singer, any band or singer, whatever. Rat Pack, fine.
Yeah,
jeez,
that's what I thought.
So that's my number 10 movie, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay, my number 10 movie is Game Night. This is the only comedy on the list. I really enjoyed this. From the people that brought us Horrible Bosses, Rachel McAdams is great in this. I really like the comedy. I like the competitiveness. They always playing games, and they still. It's kind of like Escape Room, where they don't realize that this is a game until it's about too late. But I find those kind of things are a lot more funny as a comedy than as a weird drama, thriller, scary movie type of thing.
Because with a comedy with that tone, you can your believability changes, right? When you make something serious, you have to be more true to it.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like Vice we talked about last week, right? When you've chosen to do it in more of comedic, you have more license to be creative.
Yeah.
Because the tone is very different.
100%. And you want me to go to my number 9?
Yeah, you're number 9. We snaked this.
My number 9 is Black Klansman. So, really enjoyed this movie. It was an interesting take. It was very funny. I really enjoyed the aspect. Like there's a lot of irony in this, and it was hilarious. Like one of the parts, the guy's like, "I can tell that you're a white man. It's the way you pronounce your R's." And the way you pronounce the way you
so
say
good.
It, and you're just like, I just thought it was hilarious. Like, this guy has no idea. And the way everything settled, Adam Driver is great in this as well.
So good.
I really enjoy him in a lot of roles.
Is this movie gonna launch Denzel's son's career?
It could.
I thought he was great in it.
Yeah, he was very good.
Yeah, Topher Grace was great in this movie. That was close. It was a borderline movie. I'll give you a little spoiler. It didn't make my list, but it's in the honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions, fair enough.
I should tell you, I saw over in theaters this year 154 movies. This is my second biggest year for movies.
Damn.
Ever. 163 was my most 4 or 5 years ago.
That's when you had more free time. So the fact that you did it in this time, that's great.
Yeah, no, I love the movies, and I saw a lot of them. So making this list for me was tough. My number 9 movie is The Incredibles 2. I gotta be honest. When I heard that they were going to make a second Incredibles movie, I cringed a little bit. We're in this sequel happy world, and I'm like, oh god, they're gonna ruin a great movie. Don't do it. Please don't make Top Gun 2. But I really like this movie. It started off right where the first one left off, even though it's made over a decade later. I love the role reversal between Elastigirl and the Mr. Incredible, right? So in the first movie, he's kind of doing the crime thing. She's staying at home, being the parent.
Taking care of the family.
In this movie, it's the opposite, right? I thought the kids did a great job. Oh, they were so funny. All 3 of them. Jack to me stole the show. Everything about him. Great ending. The real world aspects of what superheroes would be like, right? And that's one thing I really liked about this movie, that superheroes would not be liked. They would be seen as causing damage, or people would sue them for helping out. And you know what? I find that fascinating, and I thought they did a wonderful job with this movie. And if they decide to make a third one, I'm actually on board with it. I won't cringe too much.
Who knows? We'll see.
My number 8 movie of the year was Crazy Rich Asians. I'm a sucker for rom-coms. Those of you who know me know that I love a good romantic comedy, and Crazy Rich Asians does not disappoint. I love Constance Wu. I don't know if you watch Fresh Off the Boat. If you don't, you should watch it. She's hilarious in it. She is amazing. And I love when she finds out that he's rich, and it's priceless. Like, she's like written to be like this like professor. Like, her first scene is she's playing poker and reading things out, and she meets her boyfriend's mom, and this super rich person, and she's like melts, like, I don't know what to do. It's just good. It's rich versus poor. I love Michelle Yeoh's character, this mother-in-law who was like just given a hard time by her mother-in-law, and now she's like giving her son's girlfriend, who's not quite what she expected, a hard time. The irony is great. There's humorous moments throughout it. I loved seeing Singapore and the culture of Singapore. It was fantastic. I really liked it.
I really want to visit Singapore. That's one of my like top 10 places.
I really like it. And it makes me want to read the book. Anyway,
interesting.
On to you, number 8.
My number 8 is Bohemian Rhapsody. So I liked it for all the reasons you liked it. Really loved the music.
Isn't that a song from like the 1970s? Shouldn't you keep updated to 2018?
Listen, you obviously been living under a rock, and you don't realize that there was a biopic made in November. So maybe you should stop living under a rock and pay attention to the times, grandfather. But yeah, really, I forgot my train of thought.
Start from the beginning. Really, all the things I said, because I'm brilliant and I say all great things.
So yeah, everything that he said, really, I never knew much about Queen. I just downloaded their music. Obviously, I knew about the whole AIDS thing and that he was gay, but like literally, other than that, I didn't know much. I was just like, these musics are great, right? So I really got a better understanding. It makes me want to look more into the band Queen and see everything that they're about, right? I want to learn more about them. So anything that gets me to learn more, want to learn more and read after it, that's a good movie in my books.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you're making a history movie, it makes you want to be like, I need to know more. Absolutely fantastic.
That's always a good movie. Another movie that led me wanting for more, which is pretty funny that you said this, is I'm gonna say Vice. So Vice, really great movie. Had a good introduction to the character. Well, not character, to the real life person of Dick Cheney. Really liked how he analyzed things and the way he came up. Like a lot of the how do I say this? I'm at a loss for words. Let's just skip into a different part of it. But yeah, I really like the way he was portrayed. Another interesting aspect of this movie for me was the fact that the way he just sat, observed, and waited for his right time. And the way I feel like Bush was just, George Bush, he was just ripe for the taking, right? He didn't really pay attention to much. They really showed Bush as a idiot, and I thought it was just, as a child, I'm like, he can't be that dumb. The movie helps you realize that, yeah, he really was that dumb.
It makes me really want to know what he thought of the movie.
Yeah, George Bush. Yeah. that's what
I'm actually one of the most interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 7 movie is Ralph Breaks the Internet. This is just Disney at its best. I love the Disney princesses. We did a lot of time on our first podcast talking about this movie and the Disney princesses. I love the message of the movie. I love the character Ralph, and I love his social issues. And this is one of the reasons I like Welcome to Marwen. I like this relatability that you can have towards Ralph. This fear, this self-worth, this this ability to think that if you lose one person, or if you stop talking to one person, that your life is over, and these fears are what we all live by, and I really related to it. And again, it's funny, it's great for kids, it's great for adults, it's amazing. And that is not my favorite kids movie of the year. My favorite kids movie of the year is my number 6 movie. It was also one of the first movies that came out this year. I go all the way back to January. Paddington 2.
Oh, Paddington 2, eh?
It came out in Britain technically in 2017, but it came out in the States in 2018. So in Canada. So we're gonna go with it coming out in 2018. And I gotta be honest, this gets my vote for the most adorable movie of the year. Paddington is amazing. Did you watch Paddington 2?
No, I didn't. He asked me, and I don't like Paddington.
You should, because
I said no.
This movie is a movie that every parent should take their kids to see. Paddington is a lovable character who makes everyone around him better. His family, his neighbors. When he went to prison in this movie, and like he turned the hard nosed criminals into good people. And that's the story isn't about reality. It's about being a good person, just seeing the good in people, being that glass half full person. It's humorous, it's funny, it's great for kids. It's how Paddington lives how we all should live. And at the end of that movie, I'm not gonna lie, my eyes teared up a little bit. I went to go see the movie with my buddy Haroon, and Haroon was like, "Why did you take me to this?" He's like tearing up because it's so good. It's gonna get you emotionally. It's a great movie. If you like emotional movies, go watch it. It's fantastic.
Okay, well, what number am I on?
You're 6. Your number 6 movie of 2018.
Okay, sorry, I forgot how to count, everybody. My number 6 movie is Incredibles 2. So I like it for all the reasons you like it, but one of the reasons I like it is just the message behind it, like the villain. I love movies where you question where the villain is like, is the villain right in this aspect? So, spoiler alert, one of the main motives of the villain is people's dependence on superheroes leaves them to be more vulnerable. They don't help themselves, right? They don't grow from themselves, right? So her thing is to try to get people to not value superheroes, so they start thinking for themselves, start doing things on their own, right? The reason being is we find out it's for personal reasons, but still, I always like to think, I find sometimes I like to think a lot of people rely on support than actually when they have a problem trying to do it themselves at first, which is no problem. You can rely on support, but sometimes I feel some people rely on support a little too much, which is just my opinion. So that's why it just speaks to me a little bit more, where I'm like, oh, I can see where the villain's coming from on this point, right?
That's what makes a good movie.
Mm-hmm. So, my number 5 movie is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So, everybody knows that Spider-Man is the best superhero.
Except for
this
me.
is my law. This is the law. Everybody knows this, and it's the rule. But just to see Spider-Man done so well in a different kind of animation, we're so used to animation being as realistic as possible or cartoonish. This one was a comic book style, right? And I really liked the animation. Well, some parts of the animation, some parts I didn't like. I really liked the story. It had 6 origin stories, which is not really... It's very hard to do at the time, but they were able to do it quickly and funly. Plus, this is a nice little Spider-Man adventure, right? It's a coming of it. I like the arc that Peter Parker takes. I like the arc that Miles takes. As you can feel a lot for the characters, and I really feel something for all of the characters. You can really look into them and see, like, oh, hey, like I understand why he's feeling this pain. Like it's just so great. Plus the speech between the dad, like the relationship between the dad and the son was just so amazing. It just touched my heart. Not like Christmas movies.
What did you... I'm having a hard time remembering. What did you give the movie out of 10? What was your rating for it?
I think I gave it... I forget.
I thought it was an 8.5.
Yeah.
That is your number 5 movie of the year, 8.5. You only gave 4 like 9 pluses?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm surprised by that. I didn't expect Spider-Man to be on there because you only gave it an 8.5. Like I gave Vice an 8.5, and again, spoiler, it didn't
It's
make my
not
list.
honestly.
Like all these movies are 9 pluses in my top 10. So I was just curious. I'm just curious.
Okay, yeah, no,
Not
fair.
criticizing. Like if
No, no.
I always feel like you're an easier critic than I am, and here you go, only giving like 4 movies 9 pluses.
Yeah, you give nines way more than me. Okay, you're the easier critic.
Well, apparently, eh? So my number 5 movie is Mission Impossible 6. You know what? I would have. This is a movie I did not see on opening night. I was in Europe this summer and I missed it. And this is a franchise that defies logic. It gets better and better with every movie. It's funny. Ghost Protocol is probably one of my favorite movies in general. And the idea of that movie was that we're gonna pass the torch from Tom Cruise onto Jeremy Renner because Tom Cruise can't carry a movie anymore.
Boy, were we wrong.
Then Tom Cruise started doing stunts. Well, he always did stunts, but he started doing crazy stunts like climbing the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah.
And in this movie, jumping out of a plane.
Is he trying to kill himself?
I don't
what's
think
wrong
so.
with this man?
But he's crazy, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Tom, if you ever want to listen to this podcast, and I hope you do one day, you're amazing, and I mean that. The details of the story, how they intertwine with other movies, the action sequences, they're all incredible. I love the jumping across buildings in London was fantastic, to the point where he broke his foot jumping through Europe, and they kept the scene in the movie. That's crazy. The writing of that movie is fantastic. I just love how they brought in the ex-wife back. It was such a great touch to the movie.
Great callback.
It was. I have nothing really negative to say about it. We're in my top 5, my top 6 movies were all 10 out of 10s in my opinion. And this is just one of them. It was a great movie. My number 4 movie of the year, Black Panther.
It's not your number 1. Wow, you're racist.
Yeah, that's not even funny. What I like about this movie, speaking of racism, is the black culture. I think that one of the big mistakes movies make with a lot of African American movies is making them too much about the past and making them more about civil rights. And I'm not saying that's not important. It's very important to learn about it. But black culture is so vital to history. You can look at it from ancient history. You can look at it from American history, right? It's African American that's pushing forward rock and roll, rhythm and blues, right? Like that. It's there. And we see in this movie, instead of making a movie about racial issues, they make a movie about a superhero, and they talk about the greatness of what black culture, or African culture in this case, can give you. The coronation scene, the challenge. I love that. That is one of the great scenes of the year for me. Mm-hmm. I love the character of T'Challa in general. The action sequences were good. I love the villain. Killmonger was a fantastic choice for that movie. I love the humor of the movie. Again, it's the Marvel stereotype of a movie, touch. But like the don't freeze. I never freeze. He froze, didn't he? So good. It's fantastic. It's well written. It's a movie that everyone should see. But not my favorite Marvel movie of the year.
Yeah, whatever.
Your number 4. Let's see if it's your number 1 Marvel movie.
Okay. All right, so another my number 4 movie is Mission Impossible. So literally,
you haven't won ahead of me.
Yeah, all the things that you've said about it. Henry Cavill was great in that. I don't know why you didn't. The one fight scene with Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill in the bathroom.
Oh my
god, phenomenal! That's probably, I think that might be the best fight scene of the year for me.
Oh, it could be.
It might be. I think it's up there if I have to think about it.
Almost every action sequence from it. In most other years, that movie would be number 1 on my list. Yeah. It just says how good of a year it was for movies.
100%.
And I'm talking about, I might want to move it up somehow, but when I talk about Black Panther, I want to move that back up. It's just, it's so complicated.
I know what you mean.
I thought about this for a while.
My number 3 movie is Ready Player One. It's funny because a lot of people are gonna hate this movie, but I didn't read the book. That was your first mistake, was reading. So that's your fault for not liking the movie. But I really enjoyed Ready Player One. It was just such a great little adventure. I had fun with it. The music was great. The nostalgia. A lot of people hate the pop culture references, but I was loving it. I'm just like, oh, sweet. Well, look, there's a Gundam. Whoa. Oh, it's the Iron Giant. That's crazy. I just loved all that stuff. I'm a huge Giant Robot fan, if you can tell, right? So that's probably one of the real reasons why I liked it. Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, I really felt it was a great story. Steven Spielberg still got the touch. A lot of people say he lost it, but I still think he has it for the most part. What about you?
My number 3 movie is Game Night. I found
Whoa.
this to be like you. I found this to be the funniest movie of 2018, and I got to be honest. Rachel McAdams she seems to always play my dream girls. Like
Careful, Mike,
I go
your
back to
girlfriend's watching.
That's okay. I'll tell her this to her face.
Okay.
But like in Morning Glory that she played, it's just like one of my dream girls, and she does it again in this movie, and I just thought the premise was genius. Like you talk about, it's kind of in some ways like Escape Room, where like they have no idea that they're playing this game. They think it's all for fun, and it's not. It's
real.
I love how it was a game within a game, but it was actually real. I look at like the relationship and the chemistry between Patrick Bateman and Rachel McAdams was great from the very first scene, where they're like in their own teams. They're both really competitive. I'm competitive. I need to win at things, and like to take it to the next level.
Did you win Catan tonight?
Yeah, you know I am. We play games all the time.
Yeah, did you win Catan tonight?
No, I didn't.
Mike, answer the question. Yeah.
But I like the relationships not only between those two, but between all the couples, right? You had the one couple where, like, they've been high school sweethearts and they think they've only slept with each other. And we find out that she actually slept with another guy who was a celebrity when they were on a break. And he's trying to figure it out. And she's like, it's Denzel. And she's, like, losing it. He's like, oh, my God, Denzel. And she shows him a picture. And it wasn't Denzel.
That was great.
I like how like the dumb friend brings the smart person in because for this game night, and they end up getting together. I just like everything about the movie. I thought it was really, really well done. My number 2 movie of 2018 is Ready Player One.
Whoa!
And this is to me a fun movie. It's not the greatest thought-provoking movie. It doesn't have the greatest action sequences. But the movie is just fun. It's nostalgic. Xavier talked about all the references. It's a good old-fashioned action adventure. I personally think this is Spielberg's best movie, maybe since Saving Private Ryan.
Ooh,
I'm going back 2 decades.
Damn.
I think this was great. I think it was fun. And you know what? I read the book, and to me, it needs to be different. Everything, like, I love the book. Everything the book does well, the movie couldn't do. And everything the movie did well, the book couldn't do. So they actually play off each other really nicely. The essence is there. It's fantastic. The final sequence, the race at the beginning in the DeLorean.
I love that
Oh
part.
my God. It's extremely enjoyable. I could watch it again and again. And to me, when I'm ranking movies, and if you look at these any movie in this top 10, you can watch it more than once. Ready Player One, you could watch it over and over and over again, and it gets better with every watching, and that is the mark of a great movie.
Yeah, that makes me want to put Ready Player One up a notch, but...
What's your number 2? I'm curious to know what your number 2 is.
It's Black Panther.
Oh, I never would have guessed.
Black Panther is
so
my number 2.
That means Infinity War didn't make your list then, because...
Infinity War did. I told you the number 1 was the first 5 minutes of Bumblebee.
Sorry, tell us about Black Panther.
No problem. So yeah, Black Panther. Everything you said. A lot of like, I don't get this wrong, but a lot of black predominantly cast movies they always focus on like the negative aspects of like what happened to black culture, right? This one celebrates the positive aspects. This celebrates like African cultures at its finest, right? Like you said. The villain is great. This is another one movie where the villain, like, is the villain right? You know? It's his. I wouldn't take his way. It's a classic. I like it because it's you can see the symbolism between Killmonger, who's taking the Malcolm X approach to solving things, and T'Challa, who's taking the Martin Luther King to solve.
Yeah, great,
things, right?
great point.
That's it. That's what I really enjoyed as well, right? And both those ideologies clash, and then obviously because it's a good movie, the good side wins. But I like T'Challa more than Killmonger, anyways.
I also like MLK more than Malcolm X. So I mean, MLK is a hero.
Right? So
Great man.
so I really enjoyed that aspect, right? And just the whole celebrations, obviously classic Marvel movie. I did not expect it to be this. I was really excited for Black Panther because I think he's a great hero, great concept. Everything about him is awesome, right? But I didn't expect the movie to be as good as it was, which really surprised me. Which is I had high expectations, but they went even above those expectations, which was great. And that brings me
To Bumblebee.
to my number one movie, which is the first 5 minutes of Bumblebee. Really enjoyed it. The nostalgia was great. I was in love with it. I saw Optimus at his best. Okay, I'm just joking. Everybody knows the number one movie for me is Avengers Infinity War, okay? This was 10 years in the making, right? It just made me so happy to see reading comic books. I'm a huge comic book nerd, and just seeing all the interaction between all the heroes, seeing them all introduced. This is what it was all for, and I can't believe it really went above my expectations. I did not expect it to go above my expectations, which was already really high. Just to see the little interactions between Tony Stark and Doctor Strange, or the interactions between Thor and the Guardians. That's what really, it's the little things that really made this movie over the top for me. Sure, big things happened, right? We all know, spoiler alert, about the snap, and Thanos was obviously a great villain. He's a great villain in the comics, and they did him justice. Josh Brolin played him perfectly to a T. If Thanos had a voice, that's the voice I'd probably think Thanos would sound like, right? Even then, just seeing those, just the little interactions. That's what really did it for me. That's what I loved about the comics. I really liked the relationship between the heroes and everything like that. That's what I read the comics for. Obviously, I love the big events, but it's just the relationships that they have with each other and how they interact with each other. That's what always made it very interesting to me. What's your number one movie, Mike?
The first 5 minutes of Bumblebee. No, my number one movie is Infinity War, and it's not my favorite Marvel movie in terms of like what I look for. But I'm gonna throw this. I don't throw this award around lightly. For those who know me, this is a perfect movie. It's perfect in every way, shape, and form. It really is, and the one thing I think Marvel does really good is it learns from past mistakes. It learns from what works. It learns from what didn't work. And in the first Avenger movie, they do a really good job focusing on Captain America and Iron Man. Because those were their bread and butter superheroes. In the second Avengers, they kind of lost track of it. Hawkeye and Hulk tended to be the focal points. And this movie, they went back to what worked. We have three kind of story arcs going on. And you talked about the interaction, so I won't talk about them. But we have the Iron Man, who's kind of the leader of the Stop Thanos story arc, right? Mm-hmm. We have Thor, who's like, we need to get this Thanos killing weapon, and he's in charge of that story arc. And then we have Captain America, who's the leader on Earth.
We're the defenders. We're defending the stone story arc.
So you have these three storylines with the three heroes that people are most familiar with at the helm.
Argumentatively.
Argumentatively, but I think it's fair. Well, who am I missing?
Spider-Man is the most known
Spider-Man
superhero.
is being played in this universe as the apprentice to Tony Stark. Come on.
Fair enough. Okay.
And,
I'm just joking.
Yeah. But we also have Thanos. And Thanos, we talk about real villains. He is the realest of the real villains, right? Even talking to people like, he's right. We are using all of our resources, and, he has a point, right? When you get on board with a villain, it's scary, and it's real, and it's something that we should definitely continue having. He was well written. He is so OP, but you don't never think, well, why doesn't he just kill everyone? Because that's not his MO, and he does it right at the beginning of the movie with the Hulk. he lets the Hulk get that first punch, and we see no, let him have his fun.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to toy with people. He likes to torment people. And this allows the audience to be like, okay, this is why he didn't kill all of the Avengers when he came to Earth, because that's not his MO. His MO is to play with them, to manipulate them, to let them think that they're going to be okay. And what really makes this movie great is right off the bat, you start at the edge of your seat and you never can sit down. You're always go, go, go. The first thing that happens is Thor dead. What happened to the Hulk? He just got beaten. How did the Hulk get beaten?
So easily, too.
And it ends with the snap.
Yeah.
And you don't need another movie. If you ended the Marvel Universe with that movie, sure, it would be like crazy, but it would be satisfying in some ways. That the last words were Captain America saying, "Oh God." Brilliant. A lot of times a movie like this is like you need the second part. When you watch the end of the second part of the Caribbean movie, you need the third part. When you watch The Matrix Reloaded, you need The Matrix Revolution. You will not need Endgame. If Endgame is brutal, Infinity War will not be affected by it, because you can watch that by itself and be like, wow. So that is my number one movie of the year.
Oh, that's weird. That's wonderful. So you just copied me. And because my number one movie was Avengers Infinity War, yours has to be Avengers Infinity
It's true.
War. Okay.
Well, any honorable mentions you want to mention in yours?
Yeah, I'd like to, what's it called? I'll mention, so you had, what was the movie that you mentioned where's your list? Give me your list again. Ralph Breaks the Internet. I can't believe I forgot about it. Ralph Breaks the Internet has an honorable mention. Blockers was really close.
I like
And then
Blockers.
I remember I had Blockers on the list, but then I forgot I watched Bohemian Rhapsody. And then you talked about, like, oh yeah, that's the one I'm missing, right? It's pretty embarrassing, right?
Pretty embarrassing.
But yeah, so then I was like, yeah, let me take that out and put Bohemian Rhapsody right over there. But yeah, Blockers was up there as well.
Black Klansman was borderline. Christopher Robin for me was borderline.
That's really
made me
good.
feel. And A Simple Favor. Those probably the three that I was really kind of fighting with. But the top five, anyone could have been number one. Even the top six, even Paddington, I love it.
Yeah.
But the top five were really special.
I feel the top five, yeah, same for me.
Do you want to know before we end this what the craziest thing about 2019 is?
What?
Disney already won the box office. I want you to think about this. They've got Captain Marvel coming out. They've got Dumbo coming out. They've got Endgame coming out. They've got Aladdin coming out. They've got Spider-Man Homecoming 2 coming out. And they've got Toy Story 4
You forgot Lion King or Aladdin? Did you say
I said Aladdin.
Did you say
Is Lion King coming out this year too?
Yes.
Oh my
In
God.
July.
That is 7 movies.
And Star Wars.
Oh, and Star Wars.
At
Oh
the
my
end of the
God. 8 movies. They have every month already won. Like, it's over. Like, every other studio might be like, we're gonna pack it in this year.
Honestly, and if you look at the lineup,
And there's probably an animated movie that we're forgetting too.
Yeah,
because the animated is Pixar
movie.
technically.
Yeah, right.
They probably have an actual Disney animated movie somewhere in there too.
I'm not gonna lie, the lineup's not looking good aside from the Disney movies. To be honest, this year, looking up at the list.
Yeah, I know it. You think about there'll always be a surprise here.
Yeah, there's gonna be sleepers, so hopefully there's a lot of sleepers this year.
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right, well, that's it for us this week. Next week, tune in. We'll be talking about. We don't actually know completely what we're going to be talking about because the movie list hasn't officially come out to our theater. But we're looking at Replicas, The Upside, Bird Box, and we're going to go From the Vault next week. And we're going to get you ready for Glass by reviewing Unbreakable.
Yeah, and always don't forget to like, subscribe. We're on iTunes. We're on YouTube. Follow us at Rant on Reels. You can search us on iTunes that way as well. Follow me at Mr. Xavier Barnett and follow
Michael Fooch, even though I never post anything because I'm a loser.
Yeah, well, you're an idiot, but it's okay. We deal with it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But yes, be sure to like us on Instagram and be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and Spotify because our podcast is definitely worth listening to.
Yeah.
If you make it this far, you know it.
Yeah, 100%.
If you didn't make it this far, and be sure, please, to make comments. What list do you like better? Xavier's list or my list? Where did we go wrong? What movies did we forget? And be sure to criticize.
Marvel fanboys or Disney fanboys?
Well, not really, because I had A Wrinkle in Time as my worst movie. That was a Disney movie. So my best movie of the year is a Disney movie, and my worst movie of the year is a Disney movie. So I bookended it.
Sometimes
nicely.
they just drop a huge turd.
Yeah, exactly. It happens.
Hey, we never know if it floats
it's not,
or not.
Hey, listen. It's not our fault that Disney makes good movies. It always have. Hopefully, always will.
Yes.
I could spend a lot of time talking about bad Disney animated movies. We could talk about Atlantis or Brother Bear or
Bear. That movie sucks.
Or I can't even think of a couple other ones now. But trust me, I can do some Disney criticizing too. But as long as they're telling good stories, I'll love it.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Happy New Year. See you guys next week.